And welcome back, everyone. Hello, hello, and welcome to Geek Space TV presents Night Witches, Toil and Trouble. Woo! We had some exciting tech excitement, but we should be all in it.
No idea. You saw nothing. Nothing happened.
You saw nothing.
All good.
It was all good. Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone in the audience. I hope you're doing well. This is the Geek Space TV. We are a non-profit studio based out of Seattle that takes as its mission representation and diversity in geek and gaming spaces. And we stream shows on Twitch, but we also have a good Discord. We have a Twitter. We do all the things we can to try to make this place just a little bit better. And I am glad to see you all here with us. Today we're doing the show Night Witches, which is about World War II Soviet airwomen. And I just want to say shout out to everyone for International Women's Day, which was yesterday. So I'm happy that you can join us today for the day after International Women's Day with an amazing cast.
Also, I want to say there is an International Men's Day for everyone who always asks.
In case you want to know.
In case you're curious, there is one.
There is one. Now, International Women's Day, of course, started in 1909, and it really got into business in 1910 when women were trying to, get the vote. So they were trying to be able to vote. That's part of what that's about. What did I want to tell you all? Oh, we have some announcements. We have things to announce first off. So if you want to support us, there are lots of ways to do it. And the first and the best and the most important way to support us is by being here and watching the show. Be here, chat with us in chat, do all of the goodness. You can also share. There's a share button, which is probably over there, down there. So you can tweet out that we're live so you can get all of your friends to come in and watch us. And this is a great episode to show up at because we have a time jump of a year and a half so people can come in new and see what's happening. Also, you can also, besides tweeting out, sharing, you can, if you like, join our Discord. You can follow us on Twitter. You can, if you want to donate monetarily, you can subscribe. There's a subscribe button probably up there, which you can do for free if you have Amazon Prime. You can also become a Patreon if you like. And if you want, you can donate. We have a goal bar, which I think should be up there. And I think somewhere down there, you should be able to donate. And all those donations right now are going to pay our CEO, who has not been paid for since 1874 or something.
I love her. Pay her.
She should be paid. And all of your donations go and help towards funding.
She was even born in 1874. I'm just going to put it out there.
She is an immortal elf.
Okay.
Is.
I mean, I basically think about her as just sort of existing for forever. So that aligns with my perception.
Through all time and space.
And all realities.
Yes.
Is she a Time Lord?
I was just going to say, is she a Time Lord now?
I think she is. I think she is
It's
a Time
canon,
Lord.
we've decided.
Timey-wimey.
I mean, the studio does look a little bigger on the inside.
So do all of those things, and if you give a donation, we will read it out at the break, at the mid-break, and then at the very end. And we always love the sort of donation messages that we get, so thank you very much. We have a few more announcements, and that is Monday. We have a show coming up, a special one-off show where Sour Fruit Junkie, who you may know as the host of Inklings, our amazing artist, and also the GM for Eat, Pray, Kill, she will be doing a one-shot where she will be playing the game Sword Loser at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and that is a game that is currently in crowdfunding. So stop by over on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time to see that. And then on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing all the translations in my head because I'm Eastern time, is Worlds Beyond, which is...
It's not the show that you're on right now.
Which is not the show you're on right now. I updated it. If you refresh, you should see the actual title for Night Witches, one hopes. So that's pretty amazing. Please watch Worlds Beyond. One of our cast happens to be also on that show, and I wonder who it might be. Why don't we do our introductions? why don't we do our introduction? So the person in our cast who is a member of Worlds Beyond, please step forward and take the...
I will take the baton.
Take the baton.
Hello, I'm Shell Game. I'm also on Worlds Beyond, but I play a very different character with considerably different attire. And yes, you can mostly find me on Twitter, but you can also find me on Instagram at the Shell Game, and on Twitch. But I really haven't done anything on Twitch, so yeah.
My favorite thing is I'm like, oh, the title says Worlds Beyond, and she's like, oh, I have too much clothes on for that. And I was like, what?
Because Anon just
same
does
reaction.
it.
Like what?
I was like, well, we can change that.
Anon is less military uniform and more...
full embracing of all bodies and all types, including her own.
Yes. Fashionable wraps is what
Which
I
are
would say.
also very cold, just so you know. They're much colder than this costume.
That is legit. This costume is very warm.
In case anyone wants to
Sometimes
know...
I'm like sweating. I'm like,
Yeah. These are
I
warm.
have Lena moments.
I don't know if anyone can have Nina moments. These are also very thick. So.
And well, let's take it to Rocket Fox. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am Rocket Fox, and you can find me anywhere, mostly on Instagram. I do have a Twitch. I'm not really on there that much, but I'm in most places. If you look up Rocket Fox, likely you'll find me. I am a gamer cosplayer, storyteller, illustrator, wearer of many hats. And I am the president of the board for Superheroines, Etc., which is a 501c3 nonprofit with the mission to embrace women and those who identify as women to embrace their inner nerd.
Oh, that's so nice. Let's go then to probably here to Maggie.
Hi, I'm Margaret Crone. As you see below, you can find me, guess what, at Margaret Crone on the places on the internet. If you type in Margaret Crone. There might be other Margaret Crones, actually. There's a bunch of people that are named the same thing. But you'll find me. I have a face that you'll see.
Resembles this that you see here.
It's kind of like this face. I don't know. But yeah, I'm a girl on the internet. If you want to come hang out with me and check out tabletop RPG stuff, and I make games, it's fun.
And you have actually, I feel like everybody's got really good wig game in this space. I just want to note
This is my real hair.
I know,
This
but
is
I've seen
the
you in
hair
other
that-
wigs.
This is why I wear wigs.
No, your hair's awesome. Ah. And our special guest for this week, but also for the next 2 weeks, because I'm so excited. Because it's like, can I get you for one more week? How about one more? Can I have you for 3? And
I mean, I stole her for Day Witches, so you know.
Day Witches and Night Witches. That's
Yep.
the best.
It was amazing.
That's the best.
But hi, I'm Pumpkinberry. You can find me at Twitch and Twitter at Pumpkinberry. I do a lot of narrative, anything with a good story, video games through the week on my Twitch channel, and then I do oodles and oodles of tabletop, which you can find at pumpkinberry.tv/roleplay.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And I am Trooper SJP, and I am your game moderator for today, but also for the next time too. Just multiple times. That's what I do.
Space and time and
Through
all of those things.
all those
I
things.
like those things.
And
They allow me to exist.
it's true. Like I find time, also cheese, food in general.
Chocolate.
Those
Oh,
are both things
chocolate.
in space and time
Yeah.
that I feel are a necessity.
Yes. Burritos. I mean, there's just a lot of.
Burritos.
Just food. Can we just put food on the list of like necessities?
Yeah, like food, then space, then time.
Yes. Yes. And you can find me on at Trooper SJP on Twitch, where I stream on Thursdays and Saturdays.
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Trooper. I'm in a weird mood. I
Sandwiches.
need.
You know what? I honor
Tired, I think is what they call that.
it. Some people woke up at 6 in the morning.
Every reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
she has every reason.
Some-
Up super late, up
Yeah.
super early, too much role play.
Can you have too much role play?
No.
No, I don't think
No.
so.
I'm pretty sure my life is a role play.
Life is a cabaret. So we are going to go to our credits, and when we come back, we are going to see what has been happening in the last year and a half when we start episode 10, Prisoners of War. And welcome to Night Witches Toil and Trouble, episode 10, Prisoners of War.
I'm leaving now.
No,
So-
you don't get to go.
Oh no!
That's how it
Could be
works.
entitled "Prisoners of Love."
No.
Can
I feel like
that be
that,
the title?
yes. I mean, we're all have love.
Oh,
I was gonna, yeah.
oh,
Some say love is in the air.
oh,
Well,
love
not
is
for
in the
Lena,
air.
I don't think.
You
Well,
know, you never know what's going to happen when we in
Yeah,
Poland.
who am I to judge?
Yeah,
It's a whole new year.
it's a whole new year. So I would love for. Oh, I wanted to remind you. I forgot to mention it before, but we have a podcast, and if you are all interested in hearing Night Witches. Instead of watching Night Witches, if you want to catch up, but audio style, while you're on a treadmill or running through the jungle or whatever,
Flying your own plane.
or flying your own plane.
I'm imagining someone running through a jungle listening to this. Like,
Trying to
That'd be a
escape.
lot.
Yeah, but I feel like it's good, right? You're running through the jungle, got your headphones on, dodging.
it's not illegal, so that's a good start.
Oh my goodness. So you can watch our podcast, you can listen to our podcast if you like. And what I would like to do right now is have our cast introduce their characters, where they will say, you know, something about their character and, well, you know, their name and what they look like. So let's start the other way around, and let's start with PB. Why don't you tell us your character's name and something about her?
Okay. I'm playing Anasova, and I'm a little bit older, I think, than the rest of the ladies. I'm 36 now because it's been a year and a half, I think, since the last time I was on the show. And I have dirty blonde hair. I don't really wear too much makeup, lipstick. Got some smile wrinkles, laughter wrinkles. And my uniform's pretty standard. And yeah, that's probably all I'll share for now.
Maggie.
Hello. I play Irina Alberg, who is not like me at all, really. She is the youngest of 7 children. She's loud, she's boisterous, she's blunt, aka she's rude AF. She has short, frizzy, curly brown hair, kind of like me though, which is just a train wreck. She's tall and she's bulky and very kind of muscular. So at first glance, someone might mistake her for a man, and then if they talk to her, they're like, "Oh, you're a lady." Mm-hmm. And her uniform is super unkempt. She just kind of doesn't care. On the same boat as I can't say your name again. Is it Anna?
You can say Anasova, although I think technically it would be Anasova in terms of
Anasova.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Similar to her. I also do not wear makeup or anything like that. She doesn't care what she looks like. Just put it that way. Yeah, she's an interesting one.
Rocket.
So I am playing Titania Petrova. She is the leader of this ragtag bunch of wonderful women. She is very buttoned up, very pressed. She has a short black bob, very crisp. But she may have a little bit of a wild side underneath all of that. She does come from Leningrad, visited some of the cafes and such, but also has not spoken to her family or anything since the city went under siege. So she's doesn't really talk about that, but it's there. It's there, being ever so slowly pressed down.
And Shell Game.
I play Yelena Popova, who used to be Yelena Dozmanova, and she goes by Lena for the most part. She's a small, very slight person. Her mousy brown hair is always pretty messed up. And for a while there, her uniform had been a little bit more put together, but I think over this year, it's kind of gotten a little bit more ragtag. She's got a little bit of a firmer kind of set to her jaw. And I would say that people don't tend to she looks like someone who wouldn't be afraid to throw a punch if she got angry.
And she wasn't like that before. But speaking of which, we've had a time skip. The game Night Witches takes place over 6 different duty stations, and each duty station has a time frame associated with it. And we are now entering duty station 5, which is Zambrów, Poland. And this is October of 1944. And but before I talk about Poland, I like to start each episode with a quote from one of the actual Night Witches, because this is a fictional game, but it's based on real women who did outstanding and amazing things. They did over 1,000 nights of combat, flying every night, only stopping if there were weather or things like that, but they worked tirelessly. And there's a really great book called Dance with Death by Anne Noggle, which is a collection of interviews of all of these women of the different women's air regiments. And I like to start each episode with a quote from one of the actual women, so we can remember that we are portraying actual people, or we're sort of trying to honor actual people. So our quote, and I always try to make a quote that has something to do with where we're at for that episode. And this is a quote from Major Irina Rakolboskaya, and she was a navigator, and she was also the chief to the commanding staff, and she was the deputy commander of the regiment. And this is her speaking about her time in Poland. Until 1944, our regiment flew without parachutes. Our pilots thought that the plane itself would be like a parachute, and they felt they did not need them. Over our own territory, we could get down quite easily, and over German lines, well, we felt it was much better to burn up than to be captured by the Germans. But then, one of our outstanding crews was shot down over Soviet territory by German fighters and burned to death. And only then it was ordered that all PO2 crews must wear parachutes. In 1945, the lives of Rufina Gasheva and Olga Sanferova were saved by parachutes. Rufina was the navigator and Olga her pilot, and the commander of the squadron, when they were shot down over Polish territory. The plane was set on fire, and they both jumped. They landed on neutral territory between the Germans and the Soviets, and Olga stepped on a mine and was killed. The Soviet soldier saw that happen, and he went out and took Rufina in his arms and carried her from the minefield. For our regiment, aerodromes were not constructed at all. We just used fields. When we advanced into Poland, it became extremely difficult because the fields were so muddy our aircraft, the PO2, could not take off. The wheels stuck in the mud. The fuel trucks could not move in the mud either. We took apart log fences and laid them down to make runways. The crews would seize the wings of the plane and hold on while the pilot revved up the engine. Then, when she signaled, they would let go, and the plane took off. When they landed, it was in the mud, where the crews again seized the wings and pushed the plane back to the log runway. It was then refueled by carrying the fuel in jerry cans to the plane. The bombs had to be carried by hand to the planes also. Trucks couldn't come to the aircraft, so everything had to be carried to it. Each night, the ground crews hand-carried 3 tons of bombs to the planes. The lower wing was quite close to the ground, which made it especially hard for the girls to carry them under the wing and fix them to the plane. They crawled on their knees with the bombs in their arms. So, we are in Poland. It is muddy. It is a little bit miserable. And the 588th is not in an airdrome, they're in a field. At this point in time, it's 1944, and now our airwomen get parachutes. They've been, all this time, if things caught on fire, they just had to jump and die. But now they have the possibility of maybe escaping with their parachutes. And the weather is wet, it's cold, it's a little bit miserable, there's mud everywhere. And there is a nice airfield that is not close to where we're at, Zambrów, but that airfield is not, the 588 doesn't have that airfield. That airfield has a number of like the flashier, there's some fighter pilots there, some other regiments, and instead of a really nice airfield, our women are just in a field. And at this point in time, we also have Lend-Lease happening. So just so you all know, you all get a +1 to all of your scrounge and repair rolls because the Americans are sending in lots of supplies. And at this point in time, everyone's moving, the Soviet army is moving west, but these supplies are coming in that makes it a little bit easier. There's this tidal wave of materials coming in through Belarus, Ukraine, and Poland. And so you can get all of these goods. And so it's a little bit easier to do the things you need to do on that side. You have just a wheat field that's outside of Zambrów, where you are sort of working. And let's bring up our map so that we can perhaps draw a little bit of our environment so we can think about this. So you have this airfield, and I would like to know, could someone give me the runway that you have created that is in the middle of this wheat field on our area?
I can do it.
Thank you.
I'll put the wheat around the runway.
Please do. And I will also say, while you're thinking about this, there's timber, right? This is because it's muddy and miserable. You need to have timber that's sort of cut from the nearby area and sort of laid on to this airfield. And there are people who are doing this. There are people who are cutting, who spend their time cutting the timber, laying the timber, and the people who are doing that are prisoners of war. You have camped outside, not too far outside of your base, your air base. You have a number of German prisoners of war who are sort of held under guard and at gunpoint by some Soviet armed forces. So just right outside of your base, and they are marched in. And they're sort of sent off on hard labor. They've got labor duties, these prisoners of war. They're sent to cut down timber, split the timber, bring the timber in, lay it on your airfield. And every time you go to an auxiliary airfield, they're sent out there to sort of lay this timber. So you have around you a bunch of young men. The 218th is not around, but you do have young men in the form of these German prisoners of war and also some Soviet army who are there sort of watching over them. So I'd like someone to tell me, I love the colors we're getting here. Makes me so happy. Can someone tell me where the barracks are and where the command tent is? Where are they? Someone give that to me.
I could do that one.
Thank you. And then also, what surprising source of shelter does this area hold for you all? Where do you go to get out of the freezing rain and mud? because you're in the middle of a wheat field and like you've just sort of set up some barracks, probably tents. But what kind of surprising source of shelter is there? Anyone?
A dome constructed of wheat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like made up of like the old like stalks,
Mhm.
but they were waxed. They were able to use like a sort of like beeswax to form them into not really like last forever shapes, but it creates like a little bit of a kind of tent wall.
Like an awning outpost-ish with
Yeah.
made out of wheat. Okay.
Yeah, made out of wheat and wax.
Who did
Yeah.
that? Was it there when you got there, or was it there? Did you make it? Or did villagers make it? Who made this?
I think we made it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're strong enough structures to really last too long before we would have arrived.
So you all have made this sort of really sort of beautiful waxed wheat dome that you go in. I suppose you have some time away, right? It's like your place to have some private time. How many people can fit in this dome? How big is it?
Not huge. I'd say maybe like 12.
Yeah, kind of not super
If
packed.
they're standing.
Mm-hmm. And how is it furnished?
Furnished is a strong
Yeah,
word.
that's a
Do you
I
have
think
chairs?
we have like we've got like there were some bedrolls from people who are no longer with us that we kind of used to like lay on the ground and get like a little bit of a layer between us and the mud.
And maybe Anastasia's Victrola is in there.
Yeah.
See that?
Just sort of like a little place where you can have some levity. So we have some base questions that I'd like to ask. And anyone can answer who wants to. Which officer of the 588th came to Poland loaded down with luxury goods?
Oh. Oof.
Could be an NPC or a PC. Anyone? Who do you think arrived with lots of luxury goods?
Olga.
Olga.
Yep, I was just gonna say that.
I feel like Olga's the Olga. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I feel like Anastasia
Oh, that
would
chime,
be
man.
dumb, but she wouldn't be loaded down.
Yeah. So Olga has all of these luxury goods. Interesting. Now this will be sort of because she doesn't seem like a luxurious person, but yet she has all these luxury goods, and I imagine she's gifting them to people,
Or they were gifted to her.
or they were.
And there's rumors about it.
Oh, I like it.
Ooh, I like
Yeah.
that way more.
Yeah. So she's got all these luxury goods gifted to her, and there are rumors about where do they come from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Love it.
And I have another
Olga.
question. According to the rumors, because there's a lot of rumors in this space, what lies just beyond the perimeter in the birch forest? So you're here, right? You've got outside, you've got this birch forest. What do the rumors say lie out there in that forest?
I mean, I would say offhand the surface level rumors say that it's haunted. That's what I've heard anyway.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you could hear screams coming from deep within it.
Mm-hmm. But there shouldn't be anyone around, so like you don't know what that's about. Mm-hmm.
Or even more alarming, you don't know if people are approaching,
Yeah.
Or what's going on out there.
Because you have to worry that there could be like approaching armies coming in and you hear these sounds, but then there's nothing there. So it's a little bit creepy, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine there's still a little bit of, supernatural fears.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask, the regimental chart case where you keep all of your maps that you all study, all the navigators study before you each mission?
I know it very well.
Why has it been locked?
Well,
Ooh.
weren't there maps that were stolen
There
before
were.
last time?
Yeah, but that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but maybe ever since then they've been keeping stuff on lockdown because they think that maybe they had the wrong person.
Oh yeah. Also after
Maybe the girl that they killed, maybe
Yep.
that wasn't the right person who actually did it.
Mhm.
But they're not going to tell anybody that.
Mhm.
Yeah, after that incident, they probably locked stuff down. I
Mhm.
would agree with that.
So there are some maybe rumors that perhaps the wrong person was executed all in front of your faces. Everything's locked down, but like I will say it seems to me like there's a lot of rumors going on. We have some rumors that maybe they caught the wrong person, that maybe the forest is haunted, that maybe Olga Barsukova has been getting sort of
That's
special,
what it goes.
Yeah.
right? Has been getting special gifts in strange ways. So there's a lot going on. But now I need to ask the big question, or I will say, I will tell you something and you can tell me something. I want to ask each one of you, it's been a year and a half since Pashkovskaya, and you have been flying and you have been working every single day, nonstop, moving slowly westward. And you're in this little town, Zambrov. This is actually really interesting. You're talking about hauntedness. There's some things about Zambrov, which is in Poland. It's a small little town. When the war started, there were 7,000 people in Zambrov. About half of them were Jewish. And Zambrov is the site of a number of massacres. There was a massacre that happened in 1939 where the Germans who were occupying it just murdered Polish prisoners of war in fairly brutal ways. They put them in a square, right, like an exercise yard, and they had them stand and they had them stay up for days. And then they said if anybody moved, they would be shot. And then they sort of sent horses to trample them. And then if anybody moved or got out of the way, then they would shoot them. So there's like this terrible massacre that happened there. And then, of course, as you arrived in Zambrov here in 1944, the 7,000 people, half of which are Jews, they're only half, like the town is now half the size it used to be, and many of the people have gone missing, have been taken away. And there's a lot of rumors about the Germans sort of taking all the Jews, rounding them up and sending them off to concentration camps someplace. In real life, they were all sent to Auschwitz. And so this is a place of great sort of like trouble and trauma as you arrive and you come into this place here in 44 and as you're pressing westward. So this is a place where there has been horror in this small little town outside of which that you are. And so you're in this place that has this, and it's, you feel very good that you've been able to liberate this space moving forward. But I want to know, how has the war changed you in this last year and a half? What all have you been up to as you've traveled from Peresip and Rodinia, Pashkovskaya, here to Poland? I want to start with you, Titania Petrova, knowing a little bit about what have you been up to for the last year and a half?
Well, they've continued to go on flights, and for the most part, they've been pretty successful. And they've been getting, more of a well-oiled machine. And there was a couple times when she actually got pulled into different squads just to kind of help oversee things while some unfortunate difficulties were happening. So she came in a lot less well experienced as a leader, manager, and then kind of has gotten much more comfortable in that role.
Mm-hmm. So let me tell you something about your character over the last year and a half.
Oh, do tell.
You know what happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
You got promoted to senior lieutenant.
I did.
You
Surprise
did.
to me.
And as a senior lieutenant, one of the things they did was they made you in charge of the squadron. So you used to be a section commander, and now you're a squadron commander. And you are now in charge of the entire second squadron. And you are the lead. You're the lead of this squadron, and you are now. All of you have taken your team. You've sort of pulled your team together, and you are no longer in Section C. You are now in Section A, the first section of Second Squadron. And this is
You're welcome, ladies.
It's a big deal for you all. You do have a lot more duties. You have a lot more things that you have to do regularly as part of your work. And many of your team in your section have just more to do because you have to oversee all of these sections, and some of your sections are full of a bunch of shenanigans and people not getting along.
We wouldn't know anything about that. That's silly talk.
You're all well behaved, but those people in Section B, there's some troubles there. I will tell you what.
I always knew.
So, how has the war changed you in the last year and a half?
It's changed her in a little bit of a different direction than I think she would have thought.
Hmm.
She came in. There were some questions about activities her artist mother was up to, so she came in really kind of hard nosed and like, okay, I'm going to be really serious about this. I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to try and keep everything, and like trying to keep the ladies in line whenever maybe or maybe not someone was graffitiing planes or whatnot. I will not say anything about
you joined in on that. You weren't really keeping us in line. I'm just gonna put that out.
It was a mission. It was important, and there was good vodka.
There was good vodka, and so as time has actually passed, she's fallen into the role in a more comfortable way. So it's not as much, trying to put on the air of being like, oh, well, I'm rough and you guys need to listen to what I'm saying. It's more of a comfortable position for her now. It happens more naturally. So in that light, she's also, she's still straight-laced to a degree, but she's a little more relaxed.
Your continuing secret affair with Senior Lieutenant Svetlana Sheremetova might not have anything to do with your relaxation, would it?
Oh, these are all baseless claims as far as anyone, especially Irina, is concerned.
There are no affairs. But speaking of Irina, tell me, how has the last year and a half been for you? How has the war changed you in this last time period?
I don't know if it's changed her that much quite yet. I think that from her perspective, it's probably allowed her to do kind of more of what she likes doing. I mean, she loves flying. She is pretty aggressive. So I think being in a military atmosphere kind of works in her favor. But something that I guess she probably didn't expect to happen is the camaraderie. Obviously, that wasn't something that she was seeking per se. And so I think she's actually become fond of some people and formulated some friendships. And I think that is, she has people to care about other than her family. And that's something new for her.
Whoa, might she have taken back a friendship bracelet?
Oh, she might have actually this time around. If she would get a friendship bracelet, maybe keep it.
Oh my.
So
I'm shocked.
Anastasia, I bring this up because it's related to Irina. Anastasia was away from you all for a couple of months. She was after the end of Pashkovskaya. She was very, very injured at the end of that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she had a big piece of shrapnel, just lodged right in the side of her face, fairly intensely, and it took a while for her to recover. So she was gone for a couple of months, and when she came back, she was. The scar was red and angry, and she was having a bit of a hard time. And the person that she hung out with the most, especially when she first got back, was Irina, the one who always seemed to be the one who would push her around, but also look out for her the most. And I think that they sort of grew to be very, very close, and Anastasia would often be hanging out with Irina in a way to maybe keep herself a little bit safe, but that was one of her, one of these friendships that I think develops quite a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Irina was already protective of her before, so if anyone makes fun of her or something for her face,
which happened,
I'll make your face look like that
too. And Irina, of course, continues to get love letters from from Andrei Kazanov.
No one knows that.
Nobody knows.
Irina will never admit to it.
That is beautiful.
But Irina has written back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well.
Was it more than a few sentences?
Was it more than just opening an envelope and a punch coming out?
Oddly, I think if you were to read Irina's letters versus like interact with her and speak with her, her letters are actually really eloquently written. She writes really well, and she writes a lot. I mean, that was the only thing that she had with her, right? Was like paper and writing utensils. That's the only thing she brought with her. She writes to her family all the time.
So. She's super descriptive. I just imagine, because I've watched lots of episodes of the show, even if I've only been on one, I imagine she's actually not just a good writer, but super descriptive. Like those old letters that you said, like, here's the rain and the rain is falling like today. And it's like, yeah, just like,
Yeah. Like she's actually a well-written, she writes very well.
that's so cool.
She lies to her parents though. She stretches the truth. She's like, oh, it's not as bad as it really is. You know?
It's fine. Everyone's fine. Speaking of lying, hey, how's the war been treating Elena in the last year and a half?
Pumpkin's face whenever you said that, she's like,
what?
I think Elena has gone through a lot. I think we saw Elena go through like the stages of grief.
Yeah.
But in a sort of, she tried to keep it subtle, but it mostly just meant that she like distanced herself for a while. And when she hit like sort of the anger stage of grief, I think that she became a lot more violent and picked a fight that Irina then had to like help her out of, getting just totally pummeled. And I think that's when like her and Irina actually started to hang out a little bit more, mostly because Lena was like, show me how to throw a punch.
And Irina's like, are you sure you want to be punching people?
And she was like, I'm going to, whether you show me how to do it or not. I'd rather do it effectively.
Yeah, let me teach you how to do it.
And like, I think that like she's sort of hit more of that stage now of just a very like don't fuck with her. She's still but it's also, I think you don't really see her getting into any sort of like interpersonal conversations, because so much of her is that like, don't fuck with me sort of approach.
And I would say the initial sort of whispers and distancing of you that happened when you first came back from hospital, by now that has died down. Everyone knows that you're a married woman, and people seem to have sort of let your past go. Also,
more interesting things to gossip about now.
There are more interesting things to gossip about, and Irina threatens people quite a lot. So when when they mess with her sisters, so it happens. So Lena has been sort of taken back into the fold in general, although she now, it seems, is holding herself a little bit at a distance.
I think she still doesn't want to like give anybody the impression.
Yeah.
She doesn't want anybody else to end up in the hospital, so she still is pretty careful in that regard. But she also writes letters to her family and to Alexei.
I heard rumor that you and Nick have been getting closer. Is that so?
Yeah, her and like, out of everyone, I think like she feels like she can tell Nick things because, you know, Nick knows that, like, she admitted to Nick, I don't think that like anything has really changed. But I think that she's even more careful about sort of like the perceptions of people seeing her around Nick.
Yeah. And Anasova, I will tell you something, and I want you to tell me some things. You have been having a bit of a difficult time in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, I don't know how you're feeling personally, but what I mean is that you've been in section after section after section after section. You're moved to one section, and eventually people, they don't treat you particularly well. And you could say it's because they don't trust you, because they think that maybe you're secretly a traitor, but it might also just be that you're connected with a fairly traumatic experience for a lot of people when they're forced to watch this execution, and having you there is a bit of a reminder. And so you've found yourself being moved from section to section, people not being willing to fly with you. You had Veronica Cordina, who swore that she would fly with you, and she did. And she was a great sort of co-pilot with you for quite some time. But then she has been pulled away to do some other work, which left you again sort of without sisters.
Okay.
So how have you been in this last year and a half?
Oh boy. So I think originally it started with, you know, no one would want to fly with me. I had to move from section to section, and people went out of their way to treat me poorly,
Mhm.
and make me feel like I should leave. I think people expected me to leave, but I never did,
Mhm.
because I really do care about my country and doing the right thing.
Mhm.
And over the last year and a half, it slowly became people didn't go out of their way to make me feel unwelcome anymore. In fact, I'm mostly ignored now, and I don't know what's worse. I do write letters, and every day I check to see if I have one back, but I never get them back.
Mhm. Who do you write?
My parents.
Your well-connected parents.
Yes, but they do not write back.
Ooh. Well, now. So, you have been shuffled in to... Actually, let me ask. Titania,
Yes.
you're in charge of the whole second squadron now. And there are 3 squadrons and a training squadron. And you've heard about the difficulties of Anasova Andreeva. Do you think you would have requested to have her put in your section?
I think for a bit. Yeah, I mean, we had her in our section immediately after the incident, and I know my ladies well enough to know that they're going to, make people feel welcome and see them for who they are, and I can keep a closer eye on who's going to need to get roughed up a little bit if they act out, because I mean, it's we all have a job to do, and there's not time for petty nonsense.
And so I think that it would have perhaps been a surprise for you, Anasova, to hear that you were requested. So rather than being pushed from one section or another, sort of leaving because you have to, you were requested. Senior Lieutenant Titania Petrova, the squadron leader of the 2nd Squadron, requested that you be put in her section. And here you are in Poland, and all of you in this section right now are in your tent, in your barracks. And it is morning. It's after one of the various missions you've been in. You've already had your debriefing, and you've had your breakfast, and you're sort of back in your barracks. In this day, you can hear the sounds of the prisoners of war laying down, chopping and laying and splitting logs and laying them down in the airfield. You can hear all the sounds of this sort of bustling base. When you hear sort of like, it's not really a knock because it's a tent, but sort of like that kind of the knock you get when you're sort of tapping on canvas.
A flappy knock.
A flappy knock. And you hear that knock. And in walks, as she always does, as is sort of habit and normal, Senior Lieutenant Svetlana Sheremetova comes in, and you know what she's here for. She's here for mail call. Because every day she comes in and she brings the mail, because it is the Politruck's job to read all of your letters, either the ones you receive or the ones you send out. But our Captain Olga Barsukova, she does not feel the need to read the letters of everyone herself. Personally, that's what the deputy Politruck is for. Right? So Svetlana arrives with all of these letters sort of folded into the triangle shape that you get. Because you don't have enough paper for envelopes, so you just fold the papers themselves into this triangle so the paper becomes its own envelope. And she arrives with mail call. And she's like, Airwoman, mail call? She looks through, and she says, Alberg. And she hands you a stack of letters.
Sweet. I grabbed them.
And of course, they're from your family, and from your brothers and sisters, and also... from, Andre. And they're...
I have one sister, and the rest are all brothers.
One sister... Oh, that's right. One sister and all the rest... Sonia.
Yeah, Sonia.
And then all the rest of your brothers. And so you get these letters, and they're all telling you about how the farm is doing, what is happening. Your sister's telling you a little bit about troubles with school. But you sort of get a sense of... And it's the... it's this sort of... You have a lot of love in your letters. you have a big family, and you're all very close, and they care about you clearly, right? It's something that, and your mother worries, and your father worries, but he's not saying it, but your mother's saying it, but you really know it's him. And it's just kind of this sense of, they sort of tell you a little bit about what they've been eating and what your neighbors have been doing. And it's all a sort of sense of normalcy about your life back home, and they miss you. And you get little photographs, right, of sort of added in there of your family. And
yeah,
like,
I kind of put them up by my bunk.
And like, there's your sister with a pig, right, with a prize pig. Just kind of these sort of photos. And Andre, he, the 218th is not near you all right now, so they're in a slightly different space. And so you get a letter from him talking about a little bit where they're at and the miserableness of the cold, and how he hopes you're doing well, and how he brags about how you're one of the strongest women he's ever known, and like these just sort of yeah, right, and that he hopes he'll get another letter from you, and he just sort of tells you a little bit about the sort of the shenanigans of the 218th and what they're up to, and how, you know, one of their planes broke before it even took off, and their mechanic wasn't very good, and it was like, you know, lots of laughs, and mentions that Alexi's plane still has the hearts and flowers on it, and just sort of just talking about that kind of way in which you talk about your life to sort of make a connection with someone else. And he says that he misses you, even though he's only seen you a few times, but he thinks about you often.
Oh, but those times.
Where I stepped on his toes.
Yes.
He's never had his toes stepped on like that before.
Never.
It's a weird fetish.
Hey, you know what?
Whatever, man. My toe squished. Squish my toes.
And Lena, you get a letter from Alexi, of course, which is effusive in its romance, and it talks about remembering your honeymoon when you went to a wonderful sort of a slight resort outside of Moscow, and talks about how you went to a hot springs together, and how beautiful it was, and how we will always remember those moments where you were sort of treated so well, both of you, in this sort of somewhat fantastical space, and how he misses you dearly. And he talks about all these conversations that you had where you both expressed your undying love for each other in no uncertain romantic terms. And he asks for you to sort of tell him one of your favorite memories of your time romancing each other back home.
I think when Lena goes to write back, her response is very similar, because in my mind, they've kind of fallen into this cadence where they connect with each other by telling stories that are so fantastical.
Yep.
Of like, and it could either be like of their like honeymoon stuff, or like, I think she would tell a story of that one time where they had to carry the feed from his farm to her farm, and they had carried it together, and he'd offered to carry it for her, but she had said no. And remember how they had sat under that tree and just watched the sky for a little bit because the bags were heavy, and how he had sat just a little bit too close, and how much she loved that. And it's this sort of like, it's their way of giving each other something nice, while fully recognizing between the two of them that it's entirely fake.
Yeah, because they didn't have that good food. But there's all these descriptions of like the delicious food they had. And also, for those who are in the audience who may not have been here for the time, they had no honeymoon. They got married in a quickie ceremony in a hospital and then took a train back. Like, there was no honeymoon. But there are these sort of letters. And then, of course, he also just asks how you're doing, and he talks about how he got a letter from your brother and how he's doing, and how the war is pretty heavy, and and how lucky they are, you're both, to be pilots. But
I think she mentions when she writes back that she hasn't heard from her brother as much as he has, and so she appreciates him passing on the note, and asks like she'll just sort of like say that she's fine, but sort of leave things like the number of fights that she's gotten into and things like that off the letter.
Yeah. And there are gaps in the letters, right? His being bullied doesn't tend to sort of enter in those letters, just these sort of fantastical spaces that they sort of create with each other.
Yeah.
Your brother writes here and then, not often. There's no letter from him this day, but you do get a letter from your parents, who, ever since you got married, they seem to be quite happy with this, and they like Alexei, so they're very excited, and they think he's such a good boy, and so they check in with you to see how you're doing, and if you're well, and your mother might send you a little bit of needlework, right? Some little thing that she made, so that you can keep it with you.
Lena would just sort of write back, like very, very like, oh, it's going, it's not the greatest, but I'm alive. And, oh, would you believe that we have a forest this time? Like she'll like highlight the good things, that are happening there, but she won't talk about any of the shit.
Anastasia, of course, gets a letter from her parents. They tend to write her all the time. And she, ever since she's gotten back from the hospital, she read one letter and then she just doesn't read them anymore. You might notice that, because people she used to always open up her letters, right? And she doesn't anymore. And they would often give her packages of magazines because they knew that she liked them, if she could get magazines in, but she doesn't really read them anymore. She lets them stack up. And Ivanova, she gets letters. She's not particularly forthcoming about her life. And two people never get letters. Titania never gets a letter, and Anasova also never get letters, for reasons. But this day,
there's no one to send letters.
Yeah, yeah. But this day, Anasova gets a letter, and Svetlana Sheremetova sort of looks and she goes, "Huh, Andreeva.
Oh.
A letter for you."
Are you sure? I mean, thank you.
And she passes the letter to you, and you know she's read the letter. And she has this look on her face that is a little bit hard to read. But it seems maybe she feels bad for you.
Oh, no.
And she hands you this letter, and then she just sort of smiles at each one of you, and then she leaves.
What does it say? Does it say who it's from?
Yes.
Who's it from?
It's from a Mr. and Mrs. Grigorieva. And Grigorieva was the last name of your pilot who was executed.
Oh boy.
And when you open it, it's from her parents. Matilda was your best friend, this pilot, before she was executed for treason. And it's been a while now. And of course, being executed for treason means that all honors are stripped from her, and her name is now sort of has a black mark on it. And the letter comes in, and they're like, "Dear Anasova, I'm sure you're surprised to get a letter from me. It's me, Anya, and I'm the mother of Matilda. We've never met, but my daughter spoke of you often. I think of her all the time. My husband does as well. We both do. We think about how much she loved to fly, how much she loved to read, to travel. Not a day goes by that I don't think about my daughter, and I miss her. And it's the anniversary of her death. For treason, they said. But I can't believe that. We didn't want to write you. My husband said that I shouldn't have, but, well, there are just so many questions that I have. What happened? How could this happen? I can't believe that she was a traitor. You were her best friend. Could you explain it to me? Could you write back and let me know what happened? Or if you could you maybe... I know that sometimes new evidence could come to light that could exonerate someone so that...
I tear up the letter right now. Don't even finish it. I tear it up and I throw it away.
And that happens in your barracks. What do you all do?
I think Lena just like looks over and then she's like,
Irina doesn't even notice.
Titania's gonna say, everything okay, Anisova?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Kind of nods and then goes back to what she was doing.
And you're there in these barracks, and it's sort of quiet. Just the sounds outside. And the major, now as the squadron leader, Titania, you see the major, Yevdokia Bershanskaya, quite often. And she sort of pops in. She goes, Senior Lieutenant, come with me.
Of course. Gets up and follows.
And she takes you out to the command tent to sort of talk about the business for the day. She goes, Senior Lieutenant, we have some things we need done. If you don't mind, I'd like you to use some of your squadron to do some of the things we'll need for the day. First off, we're going to need your good navigator, Popova.
Yes.
I would like you to have her go and do reconnaissance to find a good location for our auxiliary airfield for our mission tonight. That has to happen for every mission, and I think it's your squadron's time to find that auxiliary airfield, and if you could have her do that, that would be excellent.
Of course.
Also, I need you to send some people in your squadron to gather supplies from the town and bring them back. We have some fresh fruit, some fresh vegetables that have been held aside for us that some of the villagers are keeping for us. So if you could have some of them go into town and pick those up and bring them back, that would be excellent.
Oh, lovely. The ladies will enjoy that.
Yes, I think I think it would be fine depending on who it would be. And I also would like you to have send someone else as well to just oversee the POWs. Just do a walk around the perimeter to make sure that they're not misbehaving. So just a bit of a perimeter walk.
I think I have the perfect person in mind.
I was thinking that you might be a good person to do that as well. Your rank will be useful.
Of course.
All right, so those are the things we need to be done before you get ready for your missions tonight, and then she sort of talks to you about the various options for the missions that you can sort of think about what is to do, and then she dismisses you to go back to your team.
Goes back into the bunk and I'm sure Titania would know this, but Fox, do not know this. So for the reconnaissance, is this just by a foot reconnaissance, or is she actually going up?
She's going up in a plane, and
okay, so she'll need someone to go with.
She doesn't necessarily have to. She can do it by herself, but having someone going with her is also fine. It might make it easier for her to sort of just look. And this is
kind of what I would have thought.
Yeah. And this is one of those things that when you were in Section C, you never had to deal with this at all, right? Because it was always the squadron leader sections that would go off and try to find this auxiliary airfield near the mission. You know what the mission is going to be for tonight because you talked about it. And you know where on the map it is. And so now you need to find a small place that you can turn into an airfield, like a field, something that you can do that's closer to your target. And before you never had to do that, you guys got to sleep. And do
Sleeping is for the weak.
Sleeping is for the weak, but now you need to go and send up a plane to search for a field that'll be large enough that you can then fly out of tonight. And that's one of your jobs.
All right. So late, and I imagine by this point we've experienced the daytime adventures of finding things and bringing things back, et cetera, et cetera.
There's just a lot more to do now that sort of keeps you busy.
All right, ladies, as I'm sure you're well aware, we have a few things we need to take care of, and the sooner we get this done, the sooner we can actually get some sleep before the mission tonight. So before tonight's mission, we are going to need to find the auxiliary airfield, as you're well aware from previous nights. Lena, Major wanted you to be the navigator to seek out the space, since, as we know, you are a great navigator. And I would like you to head up with Ivanova.
She looks up. She's like, me? Yes, Senior Lieutenant.
It's either that or you can go collect some fruit.
No, I'll
I
fly.
prefer if she collected fruit.
And even Nova looks at you, and she has
I'll
this
fly
like,
with her. She can collect the fruit.
and she's got this little. Even Nova's got this little mark, as if she has perhaps been punched by a very short Popova.
Now, Irina, I have another job that I'm going to need you for. And look, I
I
know
hope it's not the fruit gathering.
Titania ignores it.
Poor Titania, she's getting so much flack.
This is what happens with leadership.
I feel like once we all are comfortable with each other, it just gets worse.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a nightmare. But Titania's basically like, look, I understand that there's been some butting of heads, but this is a good opportunity for the both of you to try to operate a plane together as if you were on a team, as if we were fighting this war on the same side. Do you think that you can do that, ladies?
Ma'am, I'm the best navigator you got, and I will do it.
Well, I'm the best pilot you have, so it makes sense you'd choose me.
So I imagine if there's the best navigator and the best pilot, even if you hate each other, you can do partial of the job. Just find something that is passable.
Popova, just don't be slow. I don't want to take an hour doing this.
Titania looks at Lena. If you need to punch her again.
Lena will punch her.
You, my friend, are going to have to roll for this one. You are, this is clearly you're acting up, because it's not like you want something, you just want to punch her in the face. So this is an act up. And I feel like you're acting up like a hooligan.
Oh,
That
that's
seems
why.
a little hooliganish, but
Yes.
It does feel hooliganish.
Massively hooliganish.
Is that a 2d6?
That's a luck roll.
A luck. Oh, well, all right.
Mhm. Oh no, sorry. That's tempting fate is guts. Pardon me.
Guts?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least those aren't negative anymore.
And so Ivanova's got this smirk. This ooh. You are marked. Take a mark.
Okay.
What mark would you like?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
ladies and gentlemen,
the
that was
blow.
fail.
Can I still punch her? I want to punch her.
Tasty
You're tired,
failure.
and, it's no fault of your own.
Is it?
I think it makes sense. Oh wait, no, that's me acquiring it.
Which mark would you like to have?
Duty before health or love.
Okay. And we'll do that future.
Yeah, although I mean, I feel like she's doing it now.
Punching her in the face is not duty.
No, not this moment.
Not this moment. So you go in to do this swing, and Ivanova, who has been practicing, dodges and then just comes in with a huge haymaker right in your face. Your nose breaks. Take one harm.
Oh!
And blood just starts coming out of your face.
Irina gets up in between them, pushes
I think Lena's like
Inova back, and is like, I told you, there's a time and place for that kind of shit. And you know where it is.
Are you done?
I'm done. Are you done? Popova?
I turn around and I'm like, I kind of roll my eyes at her and I shake my head, and then I turn around and I put my hand on Lena's shoulder. I'm like, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. She punches like she's got nothing behind it.
You punch like you've got nothing behind it.
You
I'm gonna hold them both up.
I will also try to help holds off. Yeah, I don't want anybody
I
fighting.
think eventually Lena will just
Ladies, Titania raises her voice into more of a yell than I'm going to do over the microphone.
Mhm.
yeah.
If either of you throws another punch, you are not going to be able to leave to reconnaissance for the auxiliary airfield for another 30 minutes. That is 30 minutes that you're not going to get to sleep. Is that understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now get out of here.
I let go of the two of them.
And Ivanova just turns and she walks out first, like she won.
Titania's going to kind of walk over by Irina and just like put a hand on her shoulder and be like, see that she gets a fair shot at Ivanova when it's time.
And
It's like, I shake my head and then I'm like, so much for keeping it together.
And Anastasia, who was shocked by this sort of display, she comes up to Lena, and she's got this white handkerchief that's got like, you know, sort of a little lace on the corners, and she walks up to you. Would you like the?
Oh, I will get it all messy.
It's okay. And, you know, she's got this ever since she's come back. She's got this sort of twitch that she can't really, like a nerve twitch on the side of her mouth that she can't really control. And it's like, it's just this like continuous sort of tick on the side of her mouth. But she just hands you the handkerchief.
Thanks. Lena sweats a little bit.
She's not very nice.
Just a little like, somebody's being nice to me. What is this? I can't. And then she like heads out the door like pretty quickly.
And as soon as she heads out the door, I look at Irina. I look at myself. I look at Tanya and I'm like, are you sure that was a good idea?
It's better now than when we're on a mission. Odds are they're going to have to fly together at some point.
Hopefully don't ruin the plane before the mission.
Well, Tanya rolls her eyes. Meanwhile, Anastasia and Anasova, the two of you, I'm going to need to go into town to pick up some fruits that the villagers have been saving for us.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you feel comfortable with that? Will that be fine?
That'll be fine.
All right. And Irina, you and I are going to do a perimeter around the prisoners of war to make sure that they are not up to any shenanigans.
All right.
As you can see, I picked you because I thought this job would suit you the best.
I smile, and that's kind of like my reassurance that I agree.
Besides, the major wants me to go too, so I want to make sure there's someone who I feel comfortable being there with.
I smirk at that.
So at that, I kind of gesture for us to go over to that area, and I assume that Anastasia and Anastasia can find their way.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're walking out, I'm like, don't get soft on us now, to Tanya. And I continue to walk out.
I would never.
So let's start with the trip to town.
Ooh.
And you have to walk, and it'll be a bit of a walk. And it's Anastasia and Asova heading towards down. And it is cold and it is wet and you're walking in mud, right? So it's that kind of miserable, your boots are like squelching in the mud as you're walking down there.
Toes are numb because it's soaked through the boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got it.
And Anastasia's, she always stands, she just sort of stands herself so that her good side is always facing you. She's become very careful about where she sits and how she places herself. And she kind of tries to do a thing with her bangs, but you can't really. And so, you know, she walks with you towards the town. And it's a little quiet for a bit. And after a bit, she says, Anasova?
Yes.
How do you deal with people talking about you?
What are people saying about you?
That no one will love me and I'll never get married.
That's absurd. People are going to say what they're going to say. The only thing that you can really do is try not to hate them, because that sits with you and you carry that around, and that'll change you more than anything physical can. And that hatred makes you unlovable. So you just keep being you and don't worry about anything else.
My parents said that I'll never get a good match anymore, and that it was my fault because I came here.
Why did you want to come here?
I wanted to be like my sister, and I wanted an adventure, and I wanted to just be myself, and I wanted friends.
I stop and I turn to her, and she's much, much younger than I am.
She's probably not 18.
She's like 17 is what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I will go ahead and I'm going to kneel down, actually. And I'm going to take her hands and I'm going to look at her and I'm going to force her to stop walking and look at me. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. You are incredibly beautiful. And don't ever stop dancing, and don't ever stop wanting to have an adventure. And someone else will see that. I see that. The other women see that. Forget the shit that people are saying. It's dumb. And then I'll stand up and I'll just start walking.
And then before you can leave, she just reaches out and grabs your arm. And then she turns you around, and then she just like falls into your arms in this huge hug.
Oh yeah, I hug her very tightly. Absolutely.
And then she just cries a little bit.
Yeah. I just pat her and I just let her cry. I maybe look around to see if anybody's watching, and I just let her cry.
No, it's just the howl of the wind through the birch forest and their little road towards the town. It's quiet. And she stays there just a little bit, you know? So
I wait until I can feel her body change so that she's ready to go. I just wait.
Yeah. And it's like a good 10, 15 minutes. It's clear that she hasn't had a chance to process this for a while. Eventually that sort of relaxation happens, and that kind of tiredness you get after crying for a long time.
Yeah. You okay? Do you want me to go to town and you can head back?
No.
Okay.
You're one of the most brilliant violinists I know.
And you're the best dancer I know.
Thanks.
Let's go.
And she tags along after you in that kind of way where she's always got a little bit of a puppy dog about her, you know, and she follows after you. And she kind of hums the tune that you were playing when she was dancing.
Oh, I will hum along. Absolutely. Maybe even start, singing with her, trying to get her, change the beat a little bit, get it upbeat, and try to collaborate with her to get her to get out of that headspace. And maybe I'll even start like dancing in step or, trying to move along so that she starts dancing and we just dance to town probably.
And by the time you get to town, the tune is more spirited and she actually is dancing along, and every once in a while she'll like do a little bit of a leap and you're like, oh yeah, she's got some distance on her leaps.
Yeah.
She has practiced. And she might tell you some joke like, about her ballet teacher who had like a funny mole on her nose, and like and these funny stories are like, oh, I don't think they treated you very well in dance lessons, but you know,
That moment where you're like, oh, okay, that's not how that should have gone down.
And then she hit me with the stick every time. You're like, oh.
Yeah. We're all laughing because he got hit with the stick twice. And
Like, oh.
Yeah, I will also share some crazy stories I had too. I will definitely try to lighten the mood a bit for her and join in on that. And then when we get there, we were coming for fruit, right?
Yeah, fruit and vegetables.
Fruit and veggies. Okay.
And when you get there towards this town, you can see, because the town is really, really small. You're actually in Zambrov. You're like a little a small town, like a little village outside. And it's very, like, there's not many streets, so it's not like you're going to get lost. And you can see these villagers in front of like some, like, you know, like 2 good crates that you can each carry them. It's not going to be too much. But in front of them, there are like 5, 6, or 7 Red Army infantry guys with weapons, and they're looking sort of a little bit stern in front of these crates as you're approaching. And one of them says, "You." And Anastasia just kind of just scoots just a little bit behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We were told you were one of those night witches. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
588th?
Yes.
And they look at each other. Could you come with us for a moment? Now, looking at their rank, they're like privates. Like,
Okay.
They're not high ranking at all. They're not like big officers.
I reach behind me and I take Anastasia's hand and I just kind of like squeeze it a bit, and then I let go and I step forward away from her and I go with them.
She can come with.
Oh, well, we have vegetables and things to get, so maybe she can just get those. And it's not going to be long, is it?
No. But invite her.
Oh, all right.
And Anastasia is
kind of
clearly
gesture
nervous.
Yeah. I turn, I look at her, I like wink, and then I gesture for her to come along. It'll be fine.
And these men march you. Well, they're marching, and you're coming along with them. A little bit further into the village, where there's a house that looks a little bit worse for wear. And they open the door and they gesture for you to go in.
I do. I guess I'm so scared. PB is so scared right now. Okay. Yeah, I go ahead and I walk in. I like look around to see, like, you know, where I am and, you know, if I should be more alert than I feel like I am, you know, like if there's reason to be nervous.
Inside this house, there are another 6 or 7 army soldiers. So
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
And you imagine this is probably like a unit. This seems like it could be like a squad. Like there's like a clearly unit, and they're there and they're sitting. And the minute you come in, they all stand up.
Okay.
And the one who spoke to you first, he goes, "It's true. This is them, the Night Witches." And the men look at you, and they line up one by one.
What is happening right now?
And the first one says, "We are in the 111th Army Regiment. We are the 2nd Squad of the 4th Platoon. You saved us in Pashkovskaya. You bombed the Germans so that we could escape. We thank you." And he hands you like a small, like a locket, the first one. And then he steps aside. And the next one says, "If it weren't for you, we would have died. Thank you." And he hands you like a small little flask of vodka. And one by one, each one comes up and thanks you and like takes your hand. And one might like, kiss you on each cheek. And they each want to just hand you something.
I'm crying. Yeah.
Oh,
I have a tear or two coming down.
And they each have some kind of thing that is important to them that they hand to you. Each one while they say thank you so much for saving them. And they said, and the last one says, the one who started this all, he says, you know, when we fight out there and we see your planes and we hear them, we know that our angels of the sky are there to keep us safe. Thank you so much. And we're not going to let you carry those crates. We're going to carry them for you. And he goes, come on, men. And like some of them are crying, but before they leave, they just like wipe up the tears because they don't want to see outside, you know, with tears. And they didn't. It was clear they didn't want this particular display to be visible to all of the villagers because it was very, you know, some of the men are quite young. Some of them look like they're 17 or 18, and they're all a little bit emotional. And you can tell that they this means something. And you're getting like handkerchiefs that have little embroideries on them. You're getting lockets. You're getting little bits of food. You're getting a bar of chocolate. You're getting just all of these, you know, like little knickknacks and things that are important to each one of them. And they hand them each to you, and once they're going to leave, then they look, you know, they walk back out and they're like, oh yeah,
were they giving things to Anastasia as well?
They're taking you because you're older than her as sort of like in charge. Even though she's a junior lieutenant and you're a sergeant, she outranks you, but you have a particular kind of command presence and maturity that and you're older than most of them anyway, and so they just sort of look to you and they just sort of load you up with all of, like, you've got 10 little things that, and like one of them is like a little doll that's was clearly handmade by one of them. So they all have these little things. And one of them gives you like a picture of himself, right? Just these things they want you to take back to the unit.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I thought I was getting murdered, but okay, this is way better. Okay. So as they're carrying all of our fruits and vegetables for us and everything,
which means you can have more crates. So they're taking, and some of these crates were clearly marked for them, but they're giving them to you.
Okay. And we're walking them back together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Then I'm going to hum a tune. I'm going to tell a story and hum a tune, and I'm going to see if Anastasia will like entertain, like if we can entertain as they march together.
Yes. And it's like, it's probably the song the Volga Boatmen, right? And like they'll then sort of like join in on this song as well because they know it's like a good classic folk tune.
Yeah. And I definitely would have it be something that's like they can slap the side of the crate to, you know, keep it going, or stomp their feet as we come back. So as we come back, it's probably not what people are expecting to hear a bunch of singing and stuff on the way back, but that's what we do for sure.
Before you arrive, let's cut back over to the walking of the perimeter. So Irina and Titania are walking this perimeter, and you can see these, like, you walk back out towards the edge of your base, and you can, because they've moved the prisoners of war onto the base so they can lay down, right? So they can do this hard labor and lay down the logs so that you can actually have a runway that you can fly out of. And these are sort of young German men. They're pretty young looking, underfed, malnourished, underdressed for the weather. Like it is super, super cold, and they are wearing just sort of remnants of their old uniforms and not really warm things at all. And you've got a couple, like not enough, but you've got a couple Red Army soldiers sort of watching over them with guns, but a little lazy, right? And these men are chopping wood and, you know, glancing around. And as you approach, you can hear some of them whisper. I have a question.
I have an answer, potentially.
Do either of you two understand German?
I think that, you know, I mean, Titania had a pretty good upbringing. Her parents weren't poor off. She spent time in some metropolitan places. I think there might be a couple things she would have a passing, like fluency is not there, but I think, you know, maybe a little familiarity.
What about Irina?
Arena is Swedish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of the language is similar. There are some
Mhm.
words that are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she could pick up context
Mm-hmm.
through some of the words, but I don't think she knows German.
But you know Swedish, and which is not the same, but you have a little bit more both of you are two of the people here that have a bit more language facility. And as you approach,
Yeah, she knows more than one language, that's for sure.
yeah. So you
She probably doesn't use it very much
Mhm.
because she tries to lay low on
Yeah.
the fact that she is that. But anytime
Yeah.
someone says Alberg, they kind of,
it's there.
yeah.
And I could also imagine that depending on where you're at, you might also have some German as well, language. And as you're approaching, you hear them whisper, and of course they say, "Oh, Nachthexen." So they know that you're the night witches, right? So there's some talk about that. And you're walking around, trying to make sure everything is safe. And you make a pass, so you're sort of passing by, and then they can start talking when you go, and then you come back around, and you can sort of catch little snippets of conversation. And the Russian soldiers who are watching them don't speak German at all, but you noticed as you're walking, you can see, because it's this timing, right? You can see Anasova and Anastasia leaving to go to the village, and I need eyeballs from both of you is what I need. I need eyeballs.
Well, I got two.
You most certainly can have them.
That is a skill.
Let's see, where am I?
It's skills. All right, I
Mhm.
will roll skill.
My real question.
Mm.
Oh no. My real
Mhm.
question, is this an eyeball situation where I could perchance anytime I have to eyeball, I'm going to ask if there is evidence of a violation of Article 58 and 133.
Well, these are German prisoners of war. They're all sorts of violated all the time. But you could. But I will give you something. But you have to give me a roll first.
All right. That was lucky that I was too busy trying to see what I could try.
I got a 9, which is a partial.
Which means you get a good question.
Okay. This was which is
Skill.
this again? Skill.
Mhm.
Oh no! Well, I do not get a good question.
Mm-hmm. So you're sort of like a little bit sort of distracted by this, but you, Irina, you notice something as you're doing this sort of perimeter, and you see your two comrades sort of walking out. That one of these German men, he's got blonde hair. But you think it might have been bleached, right? Because you're kind of seeing roots underneath. And he's a little bit older. He's probably like, early 20s. Kind of a cruel look on his face, green eyes. And you see him look up with a look of recognition when he sees Anasova and Anastasia. He recognizes one of those two. It's a little moment that you notice that you're like, oh, he knows one of them. And that strikes you as odd since these are just random prisoners of war. But you caught it. And then he very quickly puts his head back down so as to not draw attention, but you caught it.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
The looks on your guys' faces is
Mm-hmm.
Irina's gonna watch that person more closely to see if she's just seeing things or if it's like, she has something substantial here.
You could ask me any question you like about this situation since you rolled a 9.
Any question?
Mm-hmm. And when you act on the information that I give you, you get a +1 if there's a roll involved.
ooh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure. It's like the one question to
Mhm.
answer them all.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't tell who he was looking at.
Because you just
more
saw the
than-
two of them walking away together. So it was one of those two that he seemed to have a look of recognition for.
Okay. I guess my question would be, does he ever look at them again?
He is clearly spying on them through this work detail. In the sense of not spying as in like he's a spy, but he's watching them. There's something. There's some kind of a connection between him and one of those two. And he also does not seem... He's a little bit older than the rest of them. And he has a different bearing.
A little bit older, you say?
A little bit.
Did he? Okay, I can't ask anything. Never mind.
I know. I
can't
want to
ask
ask
a question
questions too,
either.
like
Something like that.
if
Yeah, one
he
question.
were to be looking to the right or to the left.
I know. I was like, am I allowed to ask like a question like that?
Sure
That's
you
why
are.
I figured that.
You can ask whatever you want. You get to ask the question.
Oh, okay.
You can ask which person if you wanted.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was he looking at in more like longer than the other, or in particular?
Anasava.
Okay, all right.
What have you? I just met you. I don't know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So would Titania notice Irina noticing?
She would have to alert you to this, but right now you're all near them.
Okay.
But I would say one thing you would notice, Irina, is that he doesn't have the same kind of physical bearing and attitude as the rest of the POWs.
Okay.
In a way that strikes you as a little bit odd.
Okay. I guess I will, whenever I get a chance to talk to Tanya, I'll be like, that one, what's his story?
I am not actually sure. When we get near to the other guards,
Mhm.
I'll be like, what level are these guards? What level? What
Oh,
rank are
these are sergeants. These are sergeants.
I'll just say sergeant. Whoever speaks up, I'm going to assume is in charge here.
Yes, Senior Lieutenant?
Where did we find these POWs? How did they get to us?
These Hitlerite bandits?
Yes.
Well, it was a battle. We overran them. It was a kind of a pitched battle, actually. But we captured a bunch of them, and these are all just low-ranking, privates and infantrymen that we picked up.
Interesting.
What about that one?
You will also notice that his uniform fits weirdly, but all of the uniforms fit a little bit weirdly, but his is like a little too short. Like, he was just with the rest of them. Just some private.
Irina's just like, and then
I'm gonna call out to the guy. I'm gonna be like, you.
And he doesn't actually respond, as if he doesn't realize you're talking to him.
Trying to get, how far away is he? Can I throw something down?
Oh yeah, he's not that far away at all.
I'll say, is there any distinguishing visual features that I could be like, you with the?
He's got this sort of, he's got a kind of like a bit of a sharp nose.
You with the nose.
And like none of the Germans know what to do, right? Because like they have been beaten. It's not really great. And he just sort of stands up and he looks at you. And then he hunches back down again. And he goes, Entschuldigen Sie, ich spreche kein Russisch. Es tut mir leid.
You come here.
and you understand that to be like, oh, he says he doesn't speak Russian.
That's too bad. He's coming over anyway.
And he's
I will gesticulate with my hand motions for him to approach.
And he comes over, and Irina, I'm sure, is like eagle eye on this guy.
She's just watching him.
And he comes over, and he's got his hands sort of a little bit curled in, and he sort of takes his hat off, and he walks up to you.
I would like to eyeball him now that he's closer. Can I do that?
Yes.
Now that I'm actually paying attention to him?
Yes, you may.
Right. We'll see how that works. Remind me, this is skill.
Mm-hmm.
Is anything about him a violation of Article 133, perhaps?
Everything about him.
Everything about him is a violation.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I get a plus one when I roll.
Cass is just hanging out. Chat's just hanging out. It's fine.
All right.
Give me your skill roll. Ooh.
Whoa, that's a 10. That would be a success.
That is
friend.
a 10. You get 2 questions.
2 questions.
You may
All right.
ask any 2 questions you like, and I will answer them for you. And then if you act on that information, you get a +1 to your roll.
Is there any way that I can tell if he's lying about what he says about not speaking Russian?
Yes, he's totally lying about that. And
I figured he was,
Yeah.
but like,
yeah, and you know that because when you spoke to him, you know how you have spoken to people who do not understand you before, and they have a look on their face when they don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's also a look on their face when you do know what that person's saying, and he had that look, but then he went like, "I understand," and then, "Oh no, I don't know what you mean." Right? So he's deceptive. Like, you know that he's lying to you. You know he speaks Russian.
mhm.
You don't know how well, but you sense that he speaks it well. Also,
Oh yes, you tell me more.
I'll just tell you one more thing. When he spoke to you in German, his German was High German. It was the kind of German you would learn in school, right? It's a good, like, it's not like farmer German.
A little too nice for normal people to be speaking.
Perhaps, yes.
My other question for you is this: Is
Mhm.
there? I'm going to try and get something out of him.
Mhm.
Is there anything I see offhand on his person or
Mhm.
anything about him that I could utilize
Mhm.
against him or to manipulate him?
Yes, that's a great question.
Ooh, that is a great question.
That is a great question.
Yeah, that is.
A couple of things. One, his hands are too unworked, right? When you look at the hands of the other people there, they have rough hands, right? Most of the people who have, who you're going to find here on the Eastern Front, have been conscripted. They have been forced to fight, usually not voluntary. Very often there are people who are not particularly happy with the regime, right? And that's why they got sent off to the Eastern Front to die in sort of mass versions. And they're often sort of poorer people. And he does not have the hands of those people. Also, when you look at him, he has a classic sort of Hitler haircut, where a lot of the other guys just have regular soldier haircuts. And he's clearly sort of, they've had him for a bit, but that uniform does not fit him at all. You don't think that's his uniform. And there is nothing about him that says to you, you have been an officer for years now. There is nothing about him that says to you, enlisted person. You do not believe for 1 second that he is an enlisted private like his uniform says he is. You recognize the bearing of an officer. You are both officers. You are certain that this man is an officer and is lying about not understanding Russian.
All right. I'm going to lean in and speak a little more softly to where it's not quite being projected to the sergeants nearby.
Who are a little bored looking. Do you know what I mean?
They can be bored. They can go be bored elsewhere. And I'm going to say, I can see that your uniform doesn't fit you. I can see how you stand. I can see that your hands are soft. And I know what it looks like when someone understands what I'm saying.
Oh, man. Wreck him! Yes! Oh,
And Irina's
I'm
just
so
going
sorry.
to support you with being like, you know,
Yeah.
intimidating.
And I'm going to say, either you can tell me what's going on and who you are, or I will turn you into the Politruck.
Yeah, forget the other weapons. Just.
I mean, because if he learned German in school, if he's actually like from the Soviet, like he's gonna know. He'll know what that means.
And even if he's not, he would. If he's.
Oh, he will soon learn.
Yeah, he'll know. And he just sort of looks around a little bit nervously. Like, let me give you the sense, right? You're like talking. And he's like, and then you say Politruck, and he's like,
Yes, that's right.
I need an act up roll for you.
That's me. All right.
Yes, you get a +1 because you're acting on information. Natural born air woman? Is that what you're doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a medals.
I'm threatening him with.
You also get another +1 because Irina is backing you up.
All right. Well, that's a 2 modifier.
Mm.
12.
Yay!
Could I even get more successful? I don't know.
You can choose 2 of the following.
All right.
Make someone do what you want,
Okay.
presumably him. Ensure that there are no consequences for your acting up. Add 1 to the mission pool.
All right. I will add 1 to the mission pool, and I want this dude to do what I tell him to do.
Okay. So he's going to have to spill the beans a little bit, I take it.
You better spill them beans.
He
I want
leans.
all the beans.
You want all the beans, and they're so tasty. Beans. Now I want beans. So
I want pizza and a hamburger and beans.
And chocolate.
yeah, and also really good cheese.
And
Oh,
fruit.
And
fruit.
We're hungry.
I think I want it all. I
want
want
it
it
all.
all right now.
He sort of leans in a little bit, and he says, "Fräulein," and he's speaking in Russian, accented a little bit. So that's why I'll be speaking in English with a German accent, because it's Russian with a German accent. That's what this means.
That is. I do not speak neither Russian nor German, so that will be helpful to me.
And he leans and he says, "We all must do what we have to do to survive. I'm just a prisoner of war like everyone else. Perhaps I'm not a private like these men, but nonetheless, I'm just trying to survive the war."
You're gonna have to give me a little more than that, or you will not be surviving the war, friend.
What do you want to know? And Irina, you understand all this because this is in Russian. But it's a quiet conversation that's just you, like you 3 can hear this. The guards are out of earshot. And the other prisoners of war are like, we do not want to really be involved in this. So they're like, we're going to be
They start chopping further away.
just a little bit further away. Mm-hmm.
Who are you? First of all.
Klaus, what? And he looks around, just a little bit nervous. Just a little bit nervous. Why should I tell you? And like he's this thing, like you can see that he's got these conflicting feelings. One is you can tell he's an arrogant bastard who really thinks quite well of himself and does not like to be questioned, but also he's in a really bad situation right now. And he can't, like, you can tell he starts to basically tell you off, but then he stops, like, after, like, 2 words, because that is not a good position for him to be in right now at all. Klaus Müller.
And what did you do before winding up with us, Klaus Müller?
I didn't do anything you would care about. I was just... And he just leans in a little bit closer. I was an officer for a unit. That was a little vague.
She's just staring at him. She's just staring at him. Unamused.
We travel and gather informations. But none of my informations is up to date, so I have no informations that would be useful for you.
I'm going to grab his collar a bit and pull him closer and be like, how do you know her?
And he looks a little nervous.
And I point towards Anasova.
Who is no longer there. They're off to go and have this lovely time in a village.
To where she was.
I need you to act up, Irina, and you get a +1 because of your...
I am acting up with androgynous.
Yeah, you are.
Androgynous move.
With your, like, big burliness.
Right. I gotta click my character first. And then...
Titania also did catch that when she said, how do you know her?
Yeah.
Do I get a? Well, I was going to explain it to you, but then you walked over to him. Do I get a +1 because
Yes.
Titania's there helping? Okay, cool.
And you get the +1 because of your eyeball.
That's a +2.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
You're all like in it right now.
13. Yeah, baby.
Lucky
I'm
13.
gonna put one of those points towards our mission for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
And I assume you want the other one to have him tell you what you want to know.
I want him to tell me what I want. Yeah, for sure.
And he says, I am acquainted with that one, but that was a long time ago.
Acquainted? What does it mean? Give me more details. Acquainted could be like, I passed that chick in school.
And like you say this as you're gripping onto him, you know?
Yeah.
You can grip him a little.
I'm like shaking my hand while I'm holding his neck.
And like you kind of like rip at his uniform a little bit. And the uniform like sort of opens up so you can see his manly chest. No, what you can see is an SS tattoo. There's an SS tattoo that he has. Like it was covered up by the uniform, but you can see it. He is not any kind of basic private. He has got the tattoo of the German secret police on his chest.
As soon as I see that, I pull him even closer and I'm like, I'm not playing around. And like my officer here said, if you don't cooperate, well, you know where you're going.
And now the two Soviet guards are looking because this is a little bit something's going on, but you are also like a half a head taller than this guy. You are a very, very tall person, and you have got him, and he's like his toes are just dangling in the mud.
Would I notice them looking?
Yeah.
The sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna yell over to them. Sergeants, I need you to check that end of the perimeter. There might be a situation arising on that end with the prisoners. Go make sure they're not going to act up. Go over there.
Yes, ma'am. And they sort of move towards that way. And he says, Klaus Müller, as you're grabbing him, and he has this look of fear in his eyes. Okay. And he's a little bit nervous about what is going on right now. And you both have pistols, right? You both have pistols because you're officers.
She's doing that. I'm like, I tug at him again and I look him straight in the eye and I'm like, well? How do you know her?
I had conversations with her when she was a guest of mine in my unit.
About?
Everything. About a year and a half ago, she was shot down, and we recovered her and her pilot. And we asked them questions. But this is what you do in war. It is nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that would get me in. No need to make a big deal out of this.
And look who's on the other side of the questions this time. So the big deal is you answer what I ask.
Can't we just forget about this? I'm sure I can give you something to let this go, both of you women.
What did you ask her?
I wanted to know where your missions were going, how many people, I mean, all the basics that you ask in these things.
And did she tell you?
No.
Who did?
He starts looking uncomfortable.
Who told you? At his shirt again. But this time I'm like making it tighter around his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The pilot was one of our sympathizers. She told us things. And that was very useful. But we couldn't just let them go. It looked too suspicious, so we had to do a little bit of roughing up. I don't like roughing up women, but I would if I needed to. Not that I would rough up you or anyone here.
Like you could. She towers over him.
She does. And he, again, looks a little bit nervous at this, and he sort of glances over to Titania as if maybe she's the good cop.
So does he have anything more to offer? Tony's about to do something.
Go ahead.
I mean, I am getting answers from him, but you do what you want. You're my commanding officer.
Fox asks Maggie, is there more questions you'd like to get in before Titania asks?
I think Irene is just going to keep asking questions about,
Can I get one more eyeball from you? I want one more from you.
From
Maggie.
Which person?
One more.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay.
Just one more.
I'm losing my mind over here.
That's because I care about you, PB. I care.
He was like, wait, did I do something that I didn't know? That was like, oh my God.
This whole time I was sitting here like, did Trooper and PB talk? And this entire time we have like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I have the one. Mm-hmm. Do I get a +1 for the forward or no?
No, you use that one, but you get the one for Titania. Backing you up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, partial.
Here's what I'm going to give you for that. You're peppering with questions, and you are in his space. You are physically threatening him, and he's pretty cool. Like, you can tell that he has a bit of training, but he's also in a really bad situation where at any moment you can make his life really miserable. And as you're talking, you get a sense, and it's just something really small. It's really subtle. It is not large at all. But he said at one point in time, they. It was just this little moment, because most of the time he's talking about getting information from her, the pilot, her. But once he said they, which tells you there is someone else that they got information from.
And it definitely wasn't the navigator.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, Beep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm taken. Do your job. I get it.
as I tighten it around his neck, and I'm like, pretty much about to choke him.
Mm-hmm. and he's like getting red, in that kind of way when you're not getting air.
You said they?
No, I said.
Who was the other person who told you something, and what did they say?
I can't breathe. It's difficult to breathe. If you could just perhaps
don't let him pass
difficult
out.
Enough for you to beg.
I don't know the name. I never met her. Only code words. Only code words. A code name.
What were the code words? Come on, you know the drill here.
No. It was. The Nightingale was her name, the code name. I never met her. She's stayed in the unit, but sometimes we'd get messages passed through from the plane. It's hard to breathe. I can't speak.
I let it loose a little bit.
How were the messages passed?
Sometimes they'd be dropped from planes when you're flying over. Sometimes truck drivers and go-betweens. It's all.
Johnny looks.
What do they look like?
I don't know.
This other woman.
I don't know what she looks like. I only know her code name. I've never met her.
Johnny looks at Irina. We need to check the planes.
I nod.
So it's, at this point, Titania turns, calls over the sergeants, who I guess are on the other side because I told them.
And they're just like looking a little bit, but then looking back, and they're getting like a little bit nervous. And like you can see, they've got their rifles like pointing at the other prisoners of war. Now the other prisoners of war are feeling a little bit nervous.
I'm gonna call them over. Sergeants, we have a German secret police over here.
And he goes, Scheisse, because he thought that maybe now you wouldn't say anything about it.
Oh, did he think that there was going to be humane treatment?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
So sergeants, hold this man, and then she's just gonna start like power walking over to get the. She's going first to the major, but then she's going to the Paul truck because she wants all sorts of information to come just leaking out of him. And then like if Irina's following her, she's gonna say, "None of this reaches Anasova."
I nod.
And I will just give this one thing before we switch scenes. When you tell Captain Barsakova, she says, she just looks up. She goes, German secret police.
And also, when I go to tell her, I just want to point out that when I go, I enter, knock on the office, enter when it is my time, and then I smile and I tell her I got her a gift.
A gift from me? Whatever could it be?
Oh, we have arrested a member of the German secret police among our prisoners of war. I thought you might be able to enjoy his company.
I will enjoy his company very much. Take me to him. And she gets up, just ready, walking out. Meanwhile, in the air, you're in Little Clipper, I assume?
I assume so. Although I think that before we got up in the air, Lena was pretty,
grumpy.
Yeah, and you're gonna treat my plane well, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, probably to the point that they would have exchanged more blows if it didn't mean that they then would have not had as much sleep.
Yeah, they would, there would have been a fight. It's very snippy, right? I know how to fly a plane. This, this is not your plane, this is Mother Russia's plane. There's just a lot of yeah. She gets in the front and you're in the back. And the mechanic armorers are there, and there's Mel, and the mechanic armor is holding the plane down, getting ready so you can sort of take off. And you take off in the brightest of bright blue, crisp, cold days with that cold air, and it is cold up there. I need you to eyeball for me, which is skill. This is the eyeball day.
Do I get a +1 for being in Little Clipper?
Yes, you do. You do not get a +1 for hanging out with Ivanova.
No.
It's lucky you don't get a -1 yet.
She's not worth it.
She's not worth it.
Partial success with an 8.
Oh,
okay.
snap.
So you're flying, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's cold, right? And you've got your a scarf around your face to sort of... And your job is to scour the countryside and look for something that would be a field that you could use to land in, take off, land on for this mission. There's something that would be big enough that you can land, something that would have enough space where you can have the munitions there, the mechanic armors there, that you can have the fuel there, that you can do the things that you need, that's close enough to your target that you know because you've been told the secret of where the target is for tonight. And you're looking. And as you're flying, you see... as you always do, but it's different at night. At night, it's dark, right? So you don't see things as clearly, but in the day, you can see all the scars of war. You can see roads that have been bombed and broken. You can see houses that are just collapsed. You can see fields that are ruined, overturned carts, dead animals. It's just, you just see carnage, the carnage of war. And it's terrible to see during the day. And you're flying, trying to find a good place, something that will be close enough, that will be useful, that is tactically good. And you know your stuff. And you're flying and you're passing by bombed out, abandoned village after bombed out, abandoned village, over and over again. And as you're sort of making your way, you see a place that you think would be a good one. And you're like, okay, I think this will be good. Close enough to the front line. You think you've got it. Close up to the target where you can make these short flights. And you're turning back. And then you see it. In the middle of a village. Your plane making its loud little sewing machine sound. This village is small. There's one road that goes right through it. But the village itself is destroyed. There's still some sort of smoke coming off these burned houses. And it looks like it has been razed. There are dead bodies on the streets, dead animals. You can't smell it, but you can imagine you can smell it from here. And right there, in the middle of this village, standing looking up at you, because this person can hear you, seems to be a small child. You don't know how old, but there's just a small child standing in the middle of the road of this village, all by itself. And there's nobody else around for miles.
How far away is this village from the base?
It's pretty far because you had to go and get a pretty good, like, you want to get an auxiliary base that's far enough away that people could not trace you backwards, right? So you're pretty far away.
Does it look like there's anywhere nearby where we could potentially land and take off, knowing the muddy conditions that we're dealing with?
You could do it on that main street, on that main road of that village is wide enough for you.
Yeah. Okay. And safe to assume that the weight of the kid would be okay, like, because Lena would know like how much weight she could support in the plane. Yeah.
I mean, you carry lots of bombs and you're completely bombless right now. You certainly have enough weight to carry that kid.
Good point. Yes, the bombs that we don't have right now.
You could carry 2 kids.
Oh, just strap them under the wing.
Just
okay, sorry. That
6 actually, but go. Just standing there looking at the plane.
I think Lena's going to like tap her on the shoulder and say like, we've got to land. There's a kid down there and we got to land. We got to get the kid we got to get the kid.
And Ivanova talks back on the little tube. She's like, what? What kid? What are you talking about?
There's a kid down there. Down there. We passed it. It's 6 o'clock right behind us. There's a village burned out entirely. Clearly nobody else there, but there's a kid. There's a kid right there, and we need to go. We need to go back.
Fine. She doesn't see it because you're the navigator. You've got the eyes, and she was not paying attention. But she moves the plane around, and she lands it right on the main street of this village. And there, not even moving, is just this kid looking at you, standing, not coming closer, not going away, but just standing, looking at you.
Lena's gonna like hop out before everything even kind of like stops entirely.
And Ivanova keeps the plane running like, what is going on here? She's skeptical of this whole situation.
Fair. She's gonna like run over to the kid, and as she gets like within like 5 feet of the kid, she's gonna stop running and then just squat down and try and like look at the kid like straight in the eyes, in the face. And she's gonna say, "Hi."
And as you're closer, you see it's a little girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, perhaps, like that kind of age where they're old enough to have a personality and a sense of self, but they're still pretty small.
Does she have mousy brown hair?
She does.
Are her clothes kind of rumpled?
Yes, they are. And she has a little doll made of straw and clothes that she's just holding. And she's not dressed warmly enough for the weather. And she has this look in her eyes. And she looks like, she doesn't look great, right? She's rumpled, tired looking, but she has this look in her eyes of complete, it's that 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
Complete trauma, right? Just this sort of look of complete trauma, sort of a little bit of a deadness. And she's just standing there.
Lena's gonna kind of slowly move a little bit closer and like reach out a hand and be like, "Hi." I can take you somewhere safe. You can't stay here. If you do, if somebody comes back through, but where I am, there's a tent that we have. We made it entirely out of wheat and beeswax. And you can be a little bit warmer. And there's some food, and you don't have to be alone.
I'm waiting for my mama and my papa.
Yeah. My mama and my papa are a long ways away. We could leave a note
They told me to hide in the cellar and wait, and I've been waiting for days.
That was very smart. You've been very brave. You must be really hungry.
Lena's gonna like take off her heavier jacket and like offer it to the kid to like she would put it around the child, but she also wants the little girl to have her own
space.
Yeah.
And she sort of just bundles up in your coat, holding on to her doll.
She's, you know, we can't keep the plane just running like this. We have to go back, but if we leave a note, then your parents will know where to come find you.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Lena's gonna go and like hold her and like get her back into the plane.
And Ivanova's just like, whoa, like she's feeling uncomfortable with this situation, but because you probably get the sense she doesn't really like children. But also this is kind of freaking her out a little bit, but she's kind of just letting you take that.
I mean, she did force a landing in the middle of a war zone, essentially, with potentially where people could have come at them.
Yeah.
I think Lena, she goes to write a note, but she doesn't know what to say because she's fairly certain the parents are there.
Yeah.
So she makes the show of writing a note and tucking it under a rock, but she's not going to leave the location because then if the soldiers come back through, they could find it.
Yeah.
But she would say something to the effect of she is safe and just leave it at that because she doesn't even know the kid's name at this point.
Yeah. Can I get an act up from you?
Yep.
Lady or are you acting up like a lady or a natural born Soviet airwoman? Because you're not acting up like a hooligan.
No, it's definitely not a hooligan. It doesn't feel like it's really in either territory. It's just like I'm a human and I've got to take care of this kid.
I feel like it's lady.
Either would be good because
Your choice, guts or medals. If you feel like you're acting up like a lady, more guts. Like a natural born Soviet airwoman, medals.
We're gonna do guts.
Okay.
Can I get a +1 because I'm near the little clipper? And the little clipper and I sympathize with this dear child so terribly, so much.
That is fine.
They're bonding.
That is fine because you're going to fly her back if you can convince her to come.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What do you got?
I clicked it. Did it go?
No, didn't go.
Oh,
there we
we go.
Yes.
A partial success.
8 partial success. What would you like to do? I assume you want her to, because you can have her do what you want, which would be in this case, come with you. Add to the mission pool, not get in trouble.
I would like to add to the mission pool because I think Lena wants to just try and she wants this kid to own this because being someone who has been who has not been able to own when horrible things happen or really do or change anything about it, she understands needing that sort of to have some sort of power back in the situation. So yeah, she wouldn't force it, but I'll take one to the mission pool.
And so she pulls away from you and she rushes over to the rock where you left the note. And she leaves her doll next to the rock. And then she comes back up to you. She says, "So they'll know it's me."
You're very smart, you know that? What's your name? I'm Lena. My name's Lena, and this is Little Clipper, and that's an asshole.
And she looks up at the asshole. She goes, "I'm Maria."
Come on, Maria, you can sit in my lap, okay? Okay? All right.
And she's like, "I've never been in a plane before."
it's really loud, but it's the best thing in the world because for the entire time you're up in the plane, there's just you and the air and nothing else. You can just.
And Ivanova was like, come on, we got to get back.
Like, oh, right. Get in and like get settled in, and she'll hold the kid pretty close. She'll hold Maria very close.
And once she's in, Ivanova's going to take off and fly you back to the auxiliary airfield.
I also imagine just like where this is filmed, it's suddenly cutting to Titania. You brought a child?
I do want to see, because Lena, in my mind, Lena was not thinking at all about like anything except I've been there.
Yep.
And I can't not. I have to.
I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. It's
Oh,
just,
no.
It would be a huge surprise.
I want this to. Yes. Shell Game wants this. Elena's not.
Well, I think enjoyment of watching drama unfold wants this.
And you land, and Ivanova just gets out of the plane, right? Like, and of course the mechanic armors are there to sort of stop the plane, and she gets out like, she's like, this is not on me. And she just walks off. And as she's walking, I want to just paint the scene of the base at the moment as we're sort of getting towards, it's getting darker. It's getting darker at this point in time. The plane has landed. You're there, like, and the mechanic armors see you with this kid. Ivanova has stormed off, and there is a German Secret Service officer, an SS officer, sort of being dragged off to where Olga lives. And in that, oh yeah, and in that moment you hear it. You hear this chorus of male voices with two women marching down the road, singing like a really patriotic, beautiful folk song. And so there you have Anasova, and Anastasia sort of in front of this group of 10 men, all carrying crates of fresh fruit and vegetables. And they've got these sort of smiles on their faces. And there's probably some intense questioning happening in the command tent under guard somewhere else in the corner. And then there is there's Lena with a small child, and Irina and Titania, you are on the airfield, and you hear the sounds coming in, you see this plane with a child, and this is the tableau where you're at this moment.
I think Lena like offers Maria her hand. Lena is probably freezing because she did not take her jacket back.
Mm-hmm.
So she probably has a little bit of frostbite.
And like,
Irina thinks that like she's like takes a double take, and she's like, is there a kid in there?
Titania's going to survey the scene for a moment.
And you hear the beautiful singing.
She's like, I send you all up to do one task each.
I feel like my orders are very simple. I feel like there's so little that can go wrong. So I think the first thing that probably is going to demand the most attention is going over to Lena with the child. And she's going to go over and she's going to say, you brought a child?
Sweat.
I don't think we recruit this young, Irina says jokingly, but it sounds real because she's got super monotone voice.
And Maria just grabs Lena's sort of uniform and kind of like just like peeps behind her, wearing this super oversized coat, right? She's in Lena's coat, so it's huge on her. She's basically swimming in it, and she's just sort of like grabbing
Irina
it.
kneels down and is like, puts her hand out and is like, come here. What's your name?
Maria?
Lena's gonna like keep a hand on her back.
You okay?
They said there's food here? Lena said.
I'll pull out like, I always got food on me.
Yeah.
I pull out one of those little packs. It's like kind of not tasty food, but it's something. And I hand it to her.
And she just eats it ravenously. It's clear to you she probably has not eaten in a couple of days.
Titania's going to say, Irina, go grab like a couple of fruits from those guys over there.
Great. Now I'm just a fruit gatherer. She walks away and goes and gets the fruit.
Welcome to my life.
And Irina, you come upon Anastasia and Anasova with like 10 guys carrying crates of fruit and vegetables.
That's Irina's dream.
That's fair. That's fair.
And when Anastasia sees you, she brightens up in this bright smile. And she's like, "Hey, champ." And she's started to calling you champ because she thinks that you're like the best boxer ever.
Oh, that's adorable.
Hey, Anna, what's going on here? And I grab 2 fruits out of the thing and like kind of toss them up in the air and catch them.
Oh, well, these fine soldiers here were helping us bring some fruit and vegetables back for everybody. Very grateful for what the Night Witches do. So
That's a change.
And they all look a little starstruck to be at the base where the Night Witches are. And they're all just
I kind of eye them up. I'm gonna eye them up to make sure there's no like, are they like, someone causing trouble here? I'm suspicious. I'm suspect.
You're suspect. You're sus. A little sus.
Yeah. I'm like, the 218th didn't send you.
And they're like, "No. 111th Infantry."
Okay.
And they then shake your hand.
She shakes their hand with one hand.
And like each one of them comes to shake your hand. And they all just look a little sort of amazed to be here.
And I remember the 111 because we had that mission with them,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Good that you all made it out.
Not all
Did
of
everyone
us.
on your
Not all of us, but more than would have.
we've been there before. We know what it's like.
Thank you.
I have some fruit to bring back to a small child.
what?
She kind of looks like questioningly says that and is like, thanks for the help. And I kind of look at you, Anasova, a little longer than I probably should. And then I don't say anything to you. And I kind of like give a nudge to Anastasia, who I now call Anna. And I give her a wink and I head back.
She smiles at you, and she's like, "Gentlemen, if you can move the crates over this way, I will direct them to the mess tent."
So while Irina went away, Titania is gonna kneel down by this child and be like, "So, did she said her name when Irina asked?" Okay, Maria, honey, where are you from?
"I'm from the village out there."
Do you know the name of your village? She's gonna stand up. Speaking to Elena now.
I marked it on the map.
I'm assuming everyone was. It was empty.
We should maybe talk later.
And she's just holding on to the uniform.
We should get her food. But I couldn't leave her because
Elena, I understand. It's okay.
And she just wraps her arms around your leg because she sees that you're upset.
So Titania sees Irina coming back with the fruit. She's going to say to Elena, after she eats a little bit, take her to the med tent.
I will.
And then she's going to turn and go find the major, I guess.
Leadership. Responsibilities of leadership. And I assume you report that there's a small child in the base. The major, Yevdokia Bershanskaya, I should get you a photo of her so you can all see what she looks like. I'll do that for next time. She's in her tent and she's got all of this paperwork and she's looking at the maps for tonight, for the mission for tonight.
I just imagine going to her tent and flappy knocking.
Yeah,
on the
flappy knocking. Come in.
Coming in. Major.
Senior Lieutenant.
Update for you.
Oh, good job, by the way, in sussing out that SS Hitlerite dog.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad you feel that way now, because I have some things to share with you.
Do tell.
So, long story short, we completed all of the orders you gave us earlier today. We have more fruit and vegetables than we were anticipating. We also have 10 soldiers and a child.
Oh. What is the connection between the soldiers and the child?
I don't know. But they're here now.
Well,
And I defer this to you.
well, Senior Lieutenant, you have a mission to go on. I'll get staff.
I'm just gonna leave. And she's just gonna walk through all of it and go to her bunk and go inside and lay down and put the blanket on top of her.
Everybody takes one harm for lack of sleep.
No.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because I care.
Oh, sorry.
Because I care. Go ahead. That's all.
Oh, excellent. Yes, because you care so
Yes.
much.
Yes. You're at 2 harm because of the broken nose.
Of course I am.
Ah, my face!
Ugh. Ugh.
Oh, that gives you so much character, though. Now you can
It
fly
does.
with a like thingy over your nose.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I mean, I do have makeup here. That's probably going to be a lot.
Because, yes. I think, by the way, we totally missed our break, by the way. Just side note.
It's too good. You can't
Yeah.
break up something like that.
Yeah, we missed our break.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I might step off screen to put blood right here.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. It is 8:35. It is 5:35.
Yes.
7:35.
Yeah.
Our time. We're going to take a break now, super late. And when we come back, we're going to do our night mission because they have to fly all harmed and excited. So we're going to have a quick bathroom break and water and stretch your legs and hydrate. That's what we're going to do. And in, about 10 minutes, a little, maybe 8, we're going to come back and we're going to fly this night mission. And we will see what happens because it might be epic. I think it will be epic. I have to look for our, we're going to do all of the donations at the very, very end is what we're going to do. So all the donations have come in. We're going to read them all at the very end of the whole thing. We're going to take a quick break now. Take care of yourself. We'll be back in like 8 to 10 minutes to find out what happens in their night mission. All right, everybody. We'll see you really soon. And we should be back on, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the last bit of Night Witches: Toil and Trouble, episode 10, Prisoners of War. So my title's a good one. We drop for a second. Sometimes OBS crashes coming out of our title credits. So if you were hosting, please rehost. That would be excellent. This is Geek Space TV, and we are here doing our end, and we're gonna just do our final what do you call them? Introductions at the very end. We're going to just dive right into it. We had OBS. We had a wonderful sort of bunch of drama on the base, and this is what happens when your one of the characters becomes a senior lieutenant and becomes a squadron commander. They've got all the responsibilities, which causes all the drama.
All hell breaks loose.
all hell breaks loose. And some people get punched in the face. There's a small child now on base named Maria. There's how do you solve a problem like Maria would be my question. But
I just thought of that and I was like, man, I should have worked that in.
So our night witches have run on errands. They have got some allies now. They've been doing all sorts of things, but they have not gotten a lot of sleep. And so now they go in to the nighttime to go on their night mission, a little worse for wear, and we will see how that goes. Let us have... Oh, by the way, if you do D, you don't get an advance. If you do A or C, you do get an advance. I just want you to think about it.
I an advance with it. It had red, so I thought, well...
Nope. But if you want an advance, pick A or C.
Change my plan. Let's do...
Well, are you thinking about that?
Either of those. We will... we'll do C. We'll do C. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
I don't like the not returning point. I think that's terrible.
So the night falls, and there's a lot of activity on base right now, right? You have got this little girl back on your main base. You've got some word that there may be a spy in your midst, some other person besides the pilot, who is now confirmed to have definitely actually been a spy, who was Anasova's best friend, confirmed actual spy. Not a mistake, but not the only one. Somebody else is also a spy. You've got some members of the 111th Infantry Regiment who were able to sort of bestow their thanks upon the Night Witches and give some trinkets of thanks that I imagine Anasova can distribute as she will at some point. All these just little trinkets. And there's been a little bit of punching up, Lena's got a little bit of a broken nose, a little bit of blood.
She was asking for it.
Perhaps indeed. And
I think so.
It is now the evening, and it is time to go on to your mission in the cold, wet rain. And I will have our senior lieutenant take it away as you are all gathered to talk about your mission for tonight.
All right, ladies. So I want to again extend my thanks for everyone coming together for those tasks that came together in whatever way that they did. And I want to double check, does everyone have all of the Coca-Cola that they need? Yes, Lena.
Can I have some more?
Yes, it's been a long day.
Thanks.
So the mission we are going on tonight, we are going to be bombing a port. I'm not going to try and pronounce that.
Gdansk.
As you've heard here just now from my associate.
Taking notes in the background.
There are a German night-equipped Ju-87 squadrons, and they are hunting in the area, and we are going to have to be extremely, extremely cautious. We are guaranteed to be receiving enemy fire, but they know that we are capable and we can make this happen. So the task is left to us. Does anyone have any questions? All right. That being said, the assignments are as follows. On the 42 arena, I'm going to have you fly with Lena as your navigator. On the little clipper is as per usual. You seem to be doing well there. And then I will see. No.
I imagine that Lena and I have like our routine.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah,
go through.
we know by now.
Yeah.
I believe in your abilities. And then Anastasia, I'm actually going to have you pilot the 84.
Okay.
With,
Death's Kiss?
yes. With Anasova, I'm going to put you as the navigator.
Understood.
And I am going to be navigating for Ivanova on 13.
And I was like, I'm glad that you trust me.
I hope I can.
And she just looks. I will just note that in this time period, Ivanova's much nicer. Well, that's not fair. She's less hostile to Irina because now Lena is the one that she's more hostile towards. So, just,
it's, you know what? It's as long as it doesn't reflect her flying, it's whatever for me. y'all duke it out some other time. Not my problem right now. So the lead pilot is going to be, well, I guess we'll start with navigator. Lead navigator is going to be Lena. And we are going to have such a tricky thing. I want to make Irina the lead pilot. Is that a crazy idea to have them both on the same plane?
do it.
Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to leave that open for in case anybody has any. All right, that's what we're doing.
And
Irina,
so,
you're
Sounds to me, she's a good pilot.
Lena is the lead navigator. I will be a wing woman, and Anasova, so will you.
All right.
So thus it goes.
mhm. And so off you go to the fields to fly. And it's
Irina actually puts some pictures up now that she's got some pictures from her family.
on the plains
Her
dash.
sister with holding the pig. Yeah.
And
Lena checks in on Maria before she heads out.
and Maria is just like sitting in like the she's in the med tent, and the doctors, will note that she's severely dehydrated, but they're going to take care of her. And she sees you and she just like hugs your leg again.
Hey. Lena will like get down onto her level and be like, look, eat some food and sleep, right?
Are you going to find my parents?
I'm gonna go get the people who got them.
Okay.
Okay?
Come back though.
Okay.
The last time people left, they didn't come back.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
So come back. Or you can't go. And they just hold your
Yeah.
leg.
Whoa, yeah. Okay, Maria. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll come back, okay?
Okay.
She can Lena will look at the person. She'll be like, if you need a bed for her, or where she can use mine, and just like sweat, and then she's like, all right, and she leaves.
And the Popova family grew +1.
+1. Aww. And Death's Kiss still, right, is all ready, and then of course Lucky 13 has hearts and flowers on it, and Little Clipper has got like the nice writing, and all the mechanics armors are just like trudging through this mud, knee deep, attaching everything, and it's heavy and it's wet, and they're moving the planes in this auxiliary airfield that you found that's a good one, so that you can take off. And as the night falls, you head off into the air, and it is dark and it is night, and it starts to rain, and there's sort of wind, and you're heading off towards this space. And I need our lead navigator, Lena, to roll your wayfinding roll, and that will be a skill.
+1 for Little Clipper.
Indeed.
That is the most beautiful success I have ever seen in my life. And I would like to take this moment to thank a lot of people. That's a 15. I've never seen us roll that. So I'm really excited.
We haven't.
I think Lena's just like, she's focused. She got told.
Yep.
She got told to come back. And that is the first time that like somebody's been that sort of direct with her, and she kind of has her walls down in a certain way around this kid. And so at first it was like, I can't promise this kid that, but then once she did, she was like, well, all right then, I gotta come back. So she was super meticulous about every single piece of the navigating there, and she thought about the cloud cover that they needed to do. She recognized that they're dealing with the rain, and she's hoping to use that to the advantage. So she positioned it so that they're coming in with the rain, so that anyone looking up at their planes would have to like be hit in the face with rain as they're coming in toward this space. This port.
And as you all fly in perfectly right towards the target, the searchlights come on. And they start searching the night sky, trying to find you. And no anti-aircraft starts firing at all. But you can hear it. You can hear the sounds of the Ju-87 planes. And they start swooping in, and they start firing at each one of you. I need each plane's navigator to roll enemy fire, which is luck. Let's start with the lead plane. Lena, you need to give me a luck roll to avoid this enemy fire.
+1.
Yeah, that's how that swing usually works.
You have
luck is hard. I think
I would have to use both of our mission pool to be able to get out of this.
I have minus luck.
on a Sova. That's but that will be yes. Okay.
The 2 planes made it though.
So two of you are totally fine.
So how many mission pools do we have? We have 3 though, don't we?
You have 3.
We have 3.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to use all.
Just use 2, right?
2.
We just have to use 2.
Yeah, because we just have to get up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a 5.
Yep, and that's +2 would be a 7.
Sound effects are
Okay,
giving me
gotcha.
chills right now. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
What did you say?
The sound effects are giving me chills. The roll 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to take those 2? The 2 of the mission pool?
I'm tempted, but I feel like that's a lot. That only leaves us 1 mission pool left.
Can I do a what's it called? I'm so sorry.
Veromaya?
Yeah, I can be. 'Cause she chose me to be one of the people that can take hits for someone else,
Yep.
right?
This
Yeah,
is true. So, if you're not going to take
I was
it,
laughing because your cat was like, "Hey,
I know. Come back.
come
Come back.
you know, I'm going to recommend you take those 2 because it's better to have a partial success on enemy fire than to have a fail. I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
Oh, I can't stop it from happening?
No,
I
but
guess-
you can take some of the negative consequences.
Oh, okay.
Which would be, I have so much harm. Okay, so I'll use 2 mission pool unless there are any other major
No,
concerns.
just we'll still have another one floating around.
Yep. So, Lena, choose 2 negative consequences, one of which Anasova can take. You have the choice between you and your fellow airwoman are marked.
Okay.
Casualties on board split 5 harm between you and your fellow airwoman. Your plane is damaged, or another plane in the section just goes down. Pick 2.
Marked
Mm-hmm.
and damaged plane.
Okay. Anasova, would you like to take one of those negative consequences?
If you take marked, I don't think you should.
Anastasia will just die. But you could take the
Yeah.
plane being damaged.
Okay. Yep. We'll do that.
All right. So I want us to see how this is happening. Right? These planes come in, and they're coming in all directions, and they're firing, and it's like a swarm, a whole squadron of these fighter pilots. They're much faster, much more modern, going every which way. And they're like bullets are going everywhere. And now, Titania, tell me how you slip out of their vision.
Well, between the searchlights going on, as soon as they came on, I think we were in our plane able to catch a glimpse because they were not the most careful, so they actually ended up lighting up, well, maybe a little bit of their planes too.
Yep.
And so it was a very quick thing, but I happened to be looking the right direction to see it at that time, and so I gave Ivanova kind of directions to get us further out of the way.
It just slipped right out. Now, Anasova, you are able to direct your pilot out of the way, no problem. And as you slip out, you see Little Clipper right in the spotlight. And you can see a plane diving right in to just destroy them. What do you do?
I'd like to, I guess, call out to let my pilot know that we need to help. Absolutely, we need to stop that from happening.
And Anastasia sees what you see, and she sees that the plane with Irina and Lena is in trouble because you've pointed it out.
Yeah.
And you can just hear her say, "Oh no," just really softly. And she just moves the plane right up, and right as the fire comes in, she puts her plane, both of you, right in the way between Little Clipper and that one, and the Death's Kiss gets clipped. But is able to just move out of the way. Your plane is damaged. Part of the tail is sort of smoking a bit, and it's not the best, but you're able to get Little Clipper safe and free. But I need to know what marks you two are taking over there, Irina and Lena. Because it might be important right now.
I'm going to
Do it.
witness the death of a comrade.
What?
Okay.
Ooh.
I am going to
Oh no, okay, I'm gonna change it.
Wait.
Keep going, no, keep going. But I'm gonna change it.
Okay.
ignore a problem until it overwhelms.
Oh, I love that one. Thanks.
Wait, isn't that how she lives her life, though?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what mark are you taking, Lena?
Tell a story of home.
Okay. Dang it, I don't get the death of the comrade yet.
Oh, man.
I'll get it. All right. Sooner or later, I'm going to get those marks.
Comrade I want you to take out of the way.
That's
but
not
I
the
feel
one.
Like you're not going to take that one.
No, I'm not going to take that one.
No. So here we are.
And so there, injured, plane sort of fighting through. You're lined up to bomb this port. And you want to bomb this port so you can deny the German Navy its advantage. I need that attack roll from you, Irina. Give me your guts.
All right.
And you get the +1 for the...
+1 because I'm with Lena.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Yes!
13. Yeah.
I knew I believed in you.
Give me... You have to take one negative consequence, though, because that's how this game works.
What?
Yeah. But only one. But only one.
Okay.
Would you like the damage to the target is not significant and it's your fault? Trigger enemy fire. A plane in your section is damaged. I get to choose, or you and your fellow airwoman are marked.
Oof.
Marcus.
Marcus? Lena goes, Marcus.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Like,
Yeah. We'll mark. Yeah. Let's go. Let's mark it up.
Does anyone who's wing woman, that would be Titania, you have wing woman left, do you want to take that?
hey, Lena, are you sure you don't want to witness the death of a comrade?
I have two that are the same. It's like both of them revolve around me seeing people die.
Yeah, there are like two of them.
Yeah.
One's like a comrade, one's a loved one.
I do too.
Yeah.
I am.
have-
How many marks do you guys? Because you both just took some, and you both had some already. Like, and I'm low on marks. Like, what are you guys looking at mark wise? Like, let's.
I only have 6 left until I die.
That's fine.
Well, no, 5 because
I have 5
I'm
left
taking one
until
more.
I die.
So 5 left, not including death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Including
no, that
death.
doesn't include death. It'd be
Yeah.
6 if including death.
Okay, so Lena, you have 4, not including death.
Correct.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and. Sorry, Nova.
I feel like you're not that sorry.
So cool.
You could do
I'm
witness
sorry
to
that I
death
have to kill you. I'll take
combat, and that would
the.
be great.
I'll take it.
Which mark would you like to take?
Let's do.
Wait, are you taking the marks for both of us?
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Shiza. Okay.
Well, I'm
I
taking
will
one of
mark
them.
the mark that I
I'm
was.
taking one of them because someone else is taking another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a sad day for her.
Oh, but she could live, and we could both just take marks. You know.
Dude, we still got a ways to go. Like, 4 is not a lot.
And I'll also.
And I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mhm.
6, 7, 8 before I die.
So what mark are you taking?
Could I perchance say that Ivanova was a friend?
No.
All right. Let us publicly shame a comrade.
Love it. Okay. Just know it's coming.
I already know that that's probably going to be me.
And you bomb this port.
Wait,
And
hang on. Is it too late? Can I do tell a war story instead?
fine. I'm gonna get you though. Those marks are
She was
coming.
like, damn it, I want the drama.
I know.
It's coming.
I know it's gonna come, but I feel like there can be more drama leading up to it.
Ivanova is now marked, everyone. Ivanova is marked.
Sorry, Ivanova, you were not who I hated the most.
You know what?
I mean,
Trooper, your NPCs should be afraid of Titania out of all of us.
I know, it's really
They're getting
true.
scarred in the face. They're getting murdered.
It's
Like,
true.
what else?
am a
Sarah died in the plane with her.
I mean, who's the deadliest? It's Titania. I'm a good leader, and all my people die. It's cool.
no.
And the,
I'm looking at statistic analytics right now at the death rate or damage rate of our NPCs.
just
Here's the thing, though. Anyone who can make calls and decisions, I'm making sure that they keep safe because I'm looking out for the bigger mission,
Right.
looking at the bigger picture here. The war. War is not about small players.
That's right.
Like a true
That's-
leader.
That's what I was gonna say.
Hey, I'm a Soviet leader.
That's right. And the port goes up in explosions of fire, and it's like epic. And you feel good about this, and you fly back home to base. And everyone like feels really great about this, and everybody's healthy and good. I mean, you're all stressed out and a little banged up, but it's good, right? You did a good job. You bombed that port. You did a really important good thing. And when you get out, you all have to go to your debriefing, of course. And you're all in your debrief. Oh, you all get to advance, by the way. You all get to advance for that mission. Note it. And when you come back into your debrief, you are told to go actually to a different tent, that you're going to debrief in the mess tent instead of the regular tent. And when you get into your debrief, some of the men that you had met before are there, and they have got some aprons on, and they have cooked up this feast.
What?
From some of the vegetables and food. So there's like some amazing borscht, and everyone's there. And people are sort of celebratory and they're happy. And the major says, Senior Lieutenant, the debrief can wait. These gentlemen, they've cooked us a meal and thanks. I think we should eat. Good job on the mission.
Thank you.
And Maria just comes and sits right by Lena as you all eat food for the end of this the end of this night and the beginning of this morning in Zambrów, Poland. And that is where we're ending our mission.
Real quick, which
Yes.
begs the question, is this dinner food or breakfast food?
You eat dinner for breakfast. Like, you finish your mission, then you have sort of dinner, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and then you have breakfast. So, like, your meals are all flip-flopped in a...
But one could, like, just for my own information,
yeah.
down the line, one could choose to eat breakfast for both meals.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Always breakfast. Oh my goodness.
That's all I need to know.
Table.
So I want to thank everyone for being here. This was an amazing episode, and we ended on a feast with some gentlemen from the 111th who are leaving. By the way, they gotta go, but they wanted to make a meal for you all first, and because one of those guys was a cook, and he sort of made this food for you all. And I want to, before we give our sign off, I want to read the donations because we got a bunch of really cool donations, and I want to read the messages to you all because, you know, I'm excited by them. So our first donation is from B Wright UK, who donated $8.88 and says, "These 3 8s need to be pushed on their side to properly show the amount of awesome I think this cast is. Infinite."
Oh, no.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you so much for that, B Wright. I'm sorry, no, that was Paladin Hulk who voted. That was Paladin Hulk who made that message for us. PH, thank you so much. B Wright donated $22.22. There's some shenanigans with our donations. Night Witch's appreciation. Also Immortal Elf Anna appreciation. Thanks for all that you do for us. Thank you, B Wright, for that donation. Propaganda Bot donated $5 and says, "Comrade Propaganda Bot here again. This time welcoming you to the war in Poland. Poland never officially capitulated and continued to aid Mother Russia and her allies via their government in exile in Britain. Please bomb only Nazis and leave no mines." Thank you. Reina Terror donated $20 and says, very simply, "Y'all just make me so happy." Dunya Rostova has donated $5 and a poem from Anna Akhmatova, one of my favorite Russian poets of this time period. And the title of the poem is "Earthly Fame is Smoke." And the poem is, "Earthly fame is smoke. It's not what I asked for. I bring good fortune to all my lovers. One of them is alive, in love with his darling. The other turned to bronze in the snowy square." Willin TW donates $10 and says, "Wow, it's just been one awesome scene after another. So many feels, so many thanks to you all." And Vera Pavlova fan donates $5 and gives us a poem and says, "When Nazis in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for the Night Witches. Speed of lightning, power of thunder, bombing all who march for Hitler, Night Witches." Oh, and then Vera Pavlova fan gives us another $5 and says, "Shout out to the Underdog theme lyrics from the last poem. Fantastic episode all. Thank you." Oh, here he comes to save the day. I think I can probably do that. And then Void Smoker just donated $50. Thank you, Void Smoker. Oh my goodness. And says, "This show just continues to amaze. I sort of don't want the war to end. It's the war to end all wars." Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, all of you, for those donations and for being here and watching with us. It was an amazing roller coaster ride of an episode that ends with a feast and some love. And this would not be possible without, of course, the Geek Space, but the amazing cast. And I would love for our cast to introduce themselves as their outros. And let's start with, oh wait, let's go here so then I can do it this way. There. Pumpkinberry, Anasova, our amazing Anasova, who did some savings of people in the air and is, all of the stuff. Give us who you are and where we can find you.
Oh, thank you. I'm Pumpkinberry. You can call me PB, and you can find me at Twitter and Twitch at Pumpkinberry. I do all sorts of stuff, oodles of tabletop, lots of role-playing games, a couple of podcasts. You can find all of that at pumpkinberry.tv. And I am so glad I got to be a part of the show as a guest. And thank you guys for having me. You ladies are amazing role players. You are an amazing GM. Oh my God. It was great. It was great.
And you're going to be here. You're going to be here next week, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Because I believe there's some secrets that you don't know that the rest of the crew knows, and maybe you'll find out about them.
And come on, not tell me. The guy tortured me. I should be able to punch him in the face once.
There may be some Nazi punching next week, is all I'm saying.
Here's the thing, though. My commanding officer told me not to tell you, but do I listen to her?
You don't listen to anybody.
We all have secrets.
Maggie, I feel like since you're the one who's advocating not listening to your commanding officer, you should introduce yourself next.
Hey, you can find me at Margaret Crone in all of the places. I am Margaret Crone. That's why you can find me there. I just started coming back to streaming. I kicked it off actually yesterday, and it was amazing and a lot of fun. And I have a lot of really other cool things prepared, and I do a lot of other tabletops. So if you're interested in that, come check it out. And I make video games for a living. So right now we're working on an MMO RPG called Ashes of Creation. If you want to come check it out. And yeah, it's cool. It's been awesome playing with you all. And this is like a roller coaster. It's like one moment I'm about to cry, and the next moment I'm like laughing. I don't know.
So
it's so intense.
So intense. That was the person who doesn't believe in following orders all the time. Let's move it over to the person whose order she doesn't always follow. Rocket.
Hey everyone, I'm Rocket Fox, and just to second all of that, like this has been an amazing, incredible experience. I am surrounded by just insane amounts of talent on all sides, and storytelling. That being said, I game as you see now, cosplay, storytell, things like that. You can find me at Rocket Fox pretty much anywhere. I don't tweet all that often. I'm going to try to be getting more active on Twitch and such, but I'm there. I'm around. Come find me. And then also I am the president of the board for Superheroines, Etc., which is a nonprofit with the mission to empower women and those who identify as women to embrace their inner nerd.
And let's go to the fourth, the woman with a cold, hard heart who may have that heart melted a little bit by a small child, Lena.
I don't know.
You're like, no.
What you're talking about.
What?
This kid is not.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Who cares?
Hi, I'm Shell Game. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter primarily. I also have a handle on Twitch. I love this cast. They're amazing. I don't know where they are in the places of the things. Also, Pumpkinberry, this was our first time playing together. What?
Yes, it is. I know. I can't believe it. It was amazing. I love that you were like, I'm going to put blood on my nose. And then you actually came back with makeup on. It was great.
And I'm Trooper SJP, the GM of this amazing crew. And you can find me on Trooper SJP at Twitch or at Academic Foxhole on Twitter, because I am a nerd and also an academic and a veteran. So just put all those things together in Academic Foxhole. But also because when you're in academia, they sometimes shoot at you. Just like critique, though, not with bullets. They just are like, I don't think your argument's very good. And you're like,
I was like, where are you going?
Yeah, I totally thought you were making a just then. And I was like, what?
Someone to talk to.
Do you need help? Do you need help? Maybe I do. It's just, I don't know. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It has been so wonderful. We have just 3 more episodes of Night Witches before we're done. The war is coming to a close. We've already moved into Poland, and pretty soon we'll be heading to Berlin. So come and see us next week for Night Witches again next Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, but also next Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Tune in for a special show where Sour Fruit Junkie is going to be playing Sword Loser, which is currently in crowdfunding. So it's going to be like a sneak preview of some kind of cool new game. So come in and watch that on Monday, and then on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, watch Worlds Beyond, which is also heading towards its thrilling conclusion. So tune us in all those times. And I just want to say thank you all for being here. You are all lovely and wonderful and so much appreciated. And fly right, everyone. Fly right. Take care, everyone.